And we're live. Welcome to another edition of Dash 28 Live, streaming Kings of War games. I am joined here with some of my hosts, Brenton, and the two players, Patrick, Zoro, and Tom Robinson. So we're going to jump right in and go over some of the lists here. Just give me a sec. Share. So we're going to start with Patrick. We're going to start with your list. So
all right, I have 4 troops of ghouls who are escorting Soul Reaver infantry with blessings of the gods. And I have 2 regiments of Death Pack to bring grand total of 6 Chaffee units. And then I have the Revenant Cavalry regiment. It's a good, kind of fast anvil, essentially. Soul Reaver Cavalry with Nimble, which is one of my favorite units. And then a horde of werewolves with Brute Strength for more nimble goodness. A mounted Revenant King with Blade of Slashing, because he has good nerve, good defense, and he is great at disrupting things and stuff like that. And then 2 Flying Kings on Worms, which are one with the extra life leech item. Both of them are just very points efficient and a great anvils for getting things stuck up. And then Morgoth the Faceless, who makes every undead list better. And yeah, it's what I call the douche canoe. And it's a list, a similar list to I played against Tom 3 years ago.
Excellent. So let's go over to Tom's list. Oh, I gotta. So, let me go up here. And you can take us through your list, Tom.
Yep. So from the top, I have a Horde Foot Guard with Indomitable Will, like a semi-fighty, semi-tarpity, all-around solid unit. A Horde of Knights, because a Horde of Knights is somewhat underrated. I think a lot of people think it's too unwieldy, too expensive, but I've really rated it. It's done enormous work for me in the last couple of games. Continue with the theme. It's got Brute Strength, just to make sure if I do get it ground, it's still going to be one-shot on a lot of things. 2 troops of Mighty Scouts. That's obviously my main chaff component. Just a little bit more blink shooting. They're quite fast. They can disorder stuff if they need be. Horde of Honor Guard with Caterpillar, because who doesn't want Honor Guard? They're awesome. 3 volley guns, because again, self-explanatory. They're a really good little air denial, cheap unit, which does a decent amount of damage in shooting. I have a Duke on Ancient Winged Allies, so he's obviously the big flyer for Rhodia. He's quite, he's a good around heavy flyer, fairly survivable. You can't go wrong. He's got Radiance of Life as well, which is great for the points. I've got 3 wizards. One of them is my main support line wizard. He's just mounted on a horse, but he's got Bane Chant, Lightning 3, and he's got Inspiring Talisman as my only real inspiring source that sticks with the main line. Then I have 2 more wizards on pegs, because these are great little objective holders, great little chaff pieces, and they've got Lightning 6 and Lightning 3 between them. After that, Horde Dogs of War and Dog Will. Enough said. Excellent target. They do the job. And then I have a Battle Shrine, and that Battle Shrine is much like Morgoth in a undead list. It's pretty much an auto include for Rhodia as well. It's the all-round support piece. That's my list.
And you guys have decided to play one of the bluff scenarios. Which one was that?
We're playing Smoke and Mirrors. So that's the one where we will reveal a token at the a player will pick a token to reveal at the end of each of his turns.
Excellent. And here's your board. Maybe you guys can talk about terrain, and then maybe Patrick can do his deployment first afterwards.
I've made the board just while I was waiting. I prefer to do smaller pieces of terrain, and that's why you see 4 forests, as 3 of them are a little bit smaller than normal. And then we have 2 flat pieces. We are playing all the forests, and all the blocking is height 9, so nothing can see over them, even on a hill. We're playing the hills as height 3. As you can see, we have the tokens scattered about. We've both sent Dan what they're each worth. So as soon as we get off, y'all can talk about what we're doing right or wrong. I love this scenario because there's a lot of like mind games with it. And yeah, with my list, I usually just start deploying ghouls and death pack first to kind of get a feel for things. He's definitely pretty strong on the left, so it'll be interesting to see if I can get through all of that nerve. At least he doesn't have the shrine over there, although that shrine could get there. And I'm pretty spread out right now, but I do have a lot of nimble, so I could redeploy if needed.
Awesome. So, Tom, maybe you can go through your deployment.
Yep. So going from right to left, I've got a troop of mounted scouts on the flank because it's a safe place to put scouts in it. Then in the piece of terrain there, I've got the Arch Duke on a winged arrow. Sorry, he's sat obviously looking off towards the center of the board a little bit, covering the center. I've got my wizard. Obviously, it's going to be hard to tell which one's which, but that's the lightning bolt 3 wizard on the right. I've got my night horde next to them then. So they're in a nice little position, so I can look to the right, look to the left if needs be. Obviously, he's gone fairly spread out in his deployment, so I've kept more of my units towards the centre where needed. And well, obviously, he's done that in response to the volley guns, so I'm fairly happy with that if he's forcing to spread out and spend time avoiding them. Battle Shrine then next to that, facing sideways, because it's just going to turn and walk onto the hill anyway, so why not? Then behind that, we've got the next wizard. That's got the boomstick. Again, speed 10 nimble, can get wherever he wants to start shooting things, so it's nice and versatile. Behind them, Honor Guard with Caterpillar. So they're in a position to support the Night Horde or support the volley guns, depending on where he decides to start pushing. And next to them, up to the left, you've got their little mounted wizard right there. He's my, like I said, my inspiring source, my Bane Chant, my Lightning Bolt. 3 volley guns, because obviously nice and central. There's a lot of cover on this board, so this is probably the best position for them, because if I went left side in the woods, they're going to be too far out of the game. Keep them central, you should force your opponent to, even if not shooting, you're forcing your opponent to reply by, well, as you see in here, not deploying nowhere near the centre. And left of that then, you got Dogs of War in Dawn But Will again. So they're nicely placed to, get in the way of anything that wants to be in the middle of the board. And left to them, the Foot Guard as well, again, just to support them. And between the two of them, that's a hell of a lot of nerve. And it's not too big a loss if they sit there all game doing nothing, because there's going to be objectives turning up around there, I think. So I'm quite happy with where they are. And left side again, the Mounted Scouts. So another little chaff unit, another little fast unit, ready to jump under the bus if needs be, or start threatening flanks if he decides not to deal with them.
Excellent. Well, thank you guys for letting us sit in, and I guess I will let you guys jump out and start your game. And we look forward to seeing you guys when you get back afterwards.
Thank you.
Good luck. So, thoughts?
Hey.
Anybody got any
Sorry, I was
thoughts?
late.
No worries.
Yeah, so this is going to be a great match. There's already a lot here, but just sort of setting it up. We have 2 really, really skilled players, one from Texas, one from Yorkshire, and they played before a few years back using very similar armies. In that one, I think Pat lost. So Tom Robinson has the 1-0 record against Pat, and he's coming back to try and even that score. They're using very similar armies to what they used back then, and they are both sort of signature armies for these players. Rordia in the US is thought to be a little bit underpowered, which we'll talk about how that is a huge mistake in a little later. I don't want to go too far into that right now. And then we have Undead, which is generally considered to be one of the most powerful armies in the game through both the last couple editions. So it's going to be a good match. Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, I was interested by Patrick's undead list because it's really chaffy, right? It's mostly chaff. I was like, where's the hammers?
A lot
He's
of
got
hammers in it, though, right? It's got the Soul
So
Reaver,
this is
Soul Reaver Cab, the werewolves, and the two dragons, which, although they're not the punchiest because they're not vampires on them, are still pretty punchy.
he's got a couple of dragons.
So this
right? He's
is-
got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces of chaff. I think he's going to
Yes.
just try and throw. He's going to feed wave after wave of chaff and then get his stuff around the edges. Right, that's his plan. Because Tom's not terribly maneuverable.
Yeah, whenever you look at a Pat Allen list, at least for me, is I build lists with a lot of redundancy because I am not as good as he is, and I will misuse one of my hammers and lose it in a bad trade, so I need extra. He has a scalpel. He has exactly the things he needs to do damage, and then a bunch of stuff to enable them to do their job and protect them, and that's it. It is a very, very hard list to run. It is exactly what you need and nothing more. And that's also sort of how Tom builds his lists, where it's exactly what is needed. Everything has an exact purpose to serve and serves just that purpose. And if you sort of start to mess with it, the ratios go off. But we're already jumping into the game here. It looks like Tom won first turn and elected to go first.
So while he's moving, I actually know what the bluff tokens are for both players. Would you guys like to learn a little bit about that?
Secret inside information. Woo!
Yes.
So let's start with Patrick's. So Patrick did the ones that are on Tom's side of the board. So this bottom half of the board here, his 0 is number 5, which is right in the woods, right up at the top.
Yep.
And then his and his other 0 is number 1, which is actually right above the lake.
Okay.
And then he's got his 1, 2 is number 2, actually, which is behind both hordes. That might be.
Oh, that's not good, right?
Yeah, and then 3 and 4 are his ones.
That's interesting. I guess he's hoping to fly his dragon out onto them, but at the end, right?
He does have a pretty fast list, so I guess he expects to be in his opponent's deployment zone at the end, because that's kind of the way he's deployed his tokens here.
Yeah.
What's the RC unit on the left hand side? RC.
I believe that's Soul Reaver Cavalry.
Revenant Cavalry.
Revenant Cavalry. Yeah.
Oh, Revenant Cap. Sorry. Soul Reaver Cap's on the other side. So, what we have a little different in this list, which is interesting from Tom, since he's the one moving, we'll talk about it. He brought 1 Honor Guard horde, and it looks like the thing he sort of switched out from the more standard kit is he brought that Foot Guard horde instead. So a little more survivability. He exchanged a hammer for an anvil, basically, in this matchup. But the core pieces are all there. Honor Guard, organ guns, Battle Shrine, and then the Dogs of War. So he's aggressively moving forward. He has the slower army, the less maneuverable army slightly. So he wants to push forward and take board space here.
Right. So this is very. I've seen Tom play a few times.
Hey guys.
Hey, Foxy's here. So this is how Tom plays, right? He is all about board control, and he's all about pushing forward harder than you would expect to make you go, whoa, what's going on here, right?
Yep.
Now, what he normally does it with is dragons, but obviously he's just shoved that's his Duke, which is kind of his dragon equivalent. He's put it right in a space where, this undead list doesn't really have any surge on that side. There's nothing he can do about it. So instead, he's got a Duke already in the flank of multiple units. It's just it annoys you straight away, and you have to then deal with this threat. And you've got a Night Horde right behind it. It's just board control from the off, right?
And that's that Duke is a baby dragon, pseudo dragon, whatever. It's just below the full dragon class, but it will do a lot of work on a unit. 7 attacks, I think it is. Crush 2. It can pound.
What's the cavalry individual that he's got sitting that can just?
It's a wizard with inspiring talisman.
No. Sorry, on Pat's side.
It's a Revenant King on horse.
Okay, so he's just going to shove that straight into the Aralas, right? That's the only
Quite
real thing
likely.
for him.
We've got to make him sit down for sure.
And it'll do it. I think it's got enough attacks to do it. That's an interesting unit when I look through his list. I think it comes in at 110 points, but dash pretty good nerve. Let me get my book out.
Yeah, only 3 attacks, and it's likely going to be hindered getting there, right? So,
But don't forget that in his game against Alex Coos last week, Tom, with this list, wavered. Oh no, he did something 11 wounds on the first turn to a Revenant King. Pretty much the same unit, so he's probably hoping to do the same thing again. How you doing, John?
And then we have the scouts.
Oh, sorry.
Just calming down from dealing with Virgin Media.
So an interesting thing, he has triple organ guns in the middle. He is already cutting off some of their lines of fire, which is okay because he's going to shove them forward, try and push them so they're in range, and really control that space in between the small forest at the top left of the board from our angle and his hordes. So that if anything tries to move forward and sort of dance with or get optimal charges against those hordes, they're in the shadow of these organ gun shots, which is a very bad place to sit. The 3 of them together should do, 8 damage to defense 5 infantry or defense 5 units. They'll do way more to ghouls. So 1 round of shooting, you're in waiver territory for 15, 17 units. 2 rounds of shooting, you're dropping any sort of elite large infantry hordes or regiments, and you have a chance at taking down hordes. So even nerf, if you sit in their kill zone too long, it's bad news.
Are they reload those guns?
Yes, so they're not shooting this turn. But he's done the smart thing, which is just because something's reload. With organ guns, you have to predict where the battle's going to take place and get that in your arcs, either by funneling units into it with the rest of your board or moving them in the turn 1, maybe turn 2 to be there. And that's what he's doing here. They're protected on their right by honor guard, knight horde, battle shrine, all kinds of stuff, and he's really making these. And then as soon as those honor guard move, if they move out, if they charge out, if they do anything, then he's opened up his right side for shooting as well. So
here comes
they're in a
shooting here, and that death pack is already a hurting unit.
3 wounds.
Just-
These are the scouts, right?
Yep.
And
And
the
it's
death pack are pretty low nerve. They are fearless though, which is kind of nice. No, they're not anymore. 10, 12.
and this is one of those things. He's got some light shooting, which against V2 armies, this amount of shooting didn't really scare, but against some of the V3 armies that are kind of ignoring, light shooting's not in the game as much. Or in this particular case, Pat's sort of all ghouls and death packs chaff list, light shooting can do something.
Did he bring any shooting at all, Pat? Doesn't look like he has.
He's
Just
got
more
Morgoth,
off.
which is enough.
Morgoth. So he took the crutch. Nah,
Yeah.
doesn't even count then, does it really?
Both sides are leaning on crutches. Tom brought everything good in the Rordia list, basically.
Isn't that just good list building rather than leading on a crutch? He bought the units that were in the list. Good. Okay.
No, only the good ones. He avoided the halfling trap, the sort of classic Rordia V2 halfling trap where, I don't know, for me, there were like 2 people who played Rordia. There was
Look at
Ex
that.
Warhammer.
The boomstick did 4 wounds, so now he's getting greedy and he's trying to hit the plink damage on the back one.
Yep, just spread it around. It's turn 1. Those ghouls aren't actually going to be serving their purpose yet, so you can spread it around and hope for spikes.
The question is, do we think that a Soul Reaver infantry regiment
There's
can take
another waiver.
a charge from a horde of knights hindered?
I do think so, yeah. Well, that's
Their defense
7 wasn't
6?
that 11?
Defense 5.
Defense 5? What's their nerf?
15, 17?
No.
Hindered charge though. It's on
Hindered,
fours,
it's
32 on fours.
hindered is
16
16 hits.
Oof. Nah.
They're Thunderous 1, Crush 1, and they'll get Bane Chanted. So they'll
Might be more sensible to stick the king into those knights then, frankly.
It's that Night Horde. I mean, as he sort of mentioned in the lead up, people who think Night Hordes are too unwieldy or they're too big a play, they're amazing. You have to play them well, but if you imagine them just as a really hitty infantry unit and not count on the sort of cav parts of it, 32 attacks on 3s with Thunderous 1 usually, or you give them the brew, so Thunderous 1 and Crush 1, or just Crush 1 if they're charged themselves. It's horrible for people to deal with.
So he's lost 1 ghoul troop, right, and 1 wavered death pack wavered.
Yep.
Yeah.
That sucks. But he's still got 23 units of chaff left. So
and I remember an old description of this list from God, what was it, 2016 Masters or 2017 Masters, where he basically described it as he's playing a skirmish game while everyone else is playing a rank and flanks game. His hammers are mostly nimble. His ghouls are all small and maneuverable. He has dragons. He's running around playing a skirmish game, and you're stuck with big non-maneuverable units. And Tom brought big, not maneuverable units, just really good ones. So we're going to see how his sort of theory of the case stacks up.
Yeah, the difference is that it's Tom Robinson. It's just obscene. Hey, John, you're back. The shining light that is John Fawkes.
That is my forehead. Yes, and special shout out to Matt and to Mo, who are, let's be honest, are only going to watch it for my forehead.
You're the main attraction, mate. Not the funny. You're all
What's great is at some point, if we put up round counters I think we fixed it. So you're not going to be half covered by a banner.
Right, yes, yeah. Last person in gets the banner, but no.
Oh yeah, you need to fill in. Look, Dan, someone's pointed out. You need to fill in the banner properly.
Oh, there we
It just
go.
says
That's
Tom's
hilarious.
Army side of screen.
Uh-oh.
Sort it out. Mike Atkins wouldn't make this kind of mistake, you fool.
It's amateur time. It's amateur time.
So for anyone watching, Pat Allen is from Texas. So look for the giant Texas flag army on the top of your screen, and that is Pat's army. And coming from the bottom towards the top is Tom Robinson's rather subdued Yorkshire theme.
He's subtle. Yeah.
Is it Smoke and Mirrors they're playing?
They're playing Smoke and Mirrors.
So one per turn. At the end of every round, we get 1 token on each side revealed, right?
There. Now I fixed it.
No, it still says top of. Oh, you fixed it. Hey. Good work.
Thanks, guys.
So we have movement. We've got movement going on from Pat here. He's throwing some of these ghoul troops out, and what's the unit on our far left that he threw forward? Can we zoom in there?
Morgoth, right?
That's Morgoth. There.
He stuck Morgoth right in front of. That's really interesting. Is he
know
within
if
charge range of the hordes?
The hordes.
Yeah.
Doesn't look like it. Because they're 10, right?
No, he's not. If speed 5, right? So the troop can charge him, but he doesn't.
So you're used to playing real armies that have things that move.
Does that stop me blinding people, Todd and Alex? I've gone full Texas A&M today.
Mark Cox would approve.
Can you zoom in? And what's the unit just behind Morgoth? Is that another?
It's Death Pack.
Okay, that's a Death Pack. So he's thrown that forward. He has Morgoth there. Scouts, could they sit Morgoth down? I mean,
well, they only have to do a wound. That's not.
Yeah, they have to do a wound. Yeah, that's.
I think he's hoping that the drain life will be enough to at least waver that unit. So
you're rolling on 4, though. Rolling on 4s.
Oh yeah, I know.
And then if we zoom out, we have some he's pushed his Soul Reaver cavalry. I believe that's Soul Reaver cavalry up.
And offered a flank to the scouts. Is that wise?
I imagine the dragon's going to get in the way
Oh
there.
yeah.
Yep.
But they're nimble scouts, though, right?
Yes, they are.
So they can just nimble past that quite
Oh,
happily.
yeah.
Okay.
So I guess
Who
maybe
am I to
that
judge? Well, I fully support the Texas flag across these units, naturally. It is a little bit like playing on cardboard bases that you've written the names of the units on, isn't it? He's literally turned up and gone, I'm just going to play with cardboard. Is that all right? I put a flag on it, though, and written the names, yeah?
I'm actually
to paint his own units.
I am a big fan of the old battle report style where like cavalry had a certain like echelon marking on it and like infantry had something else that all made sense at the beginning of the game, and then 5 minutes in you're looking at it in White Dwarf and you're like, what unit is that again?
Yeah.
I tried
Okay,
to
so
find
he's
them
used
on UB of that template, and I couldn't find anywhere because I thought they were really cool. Like I say, old school sort of early 90s White Dwarf battle report.
I have no idea what you're talking about. Never played Warhammer.
Sorry, yes, early 90s, Steve. You weren't born.
I wish, mate. I was too busy like being cool and hanging out with girls and drinking in the 90s. So what he's done, he's used the dragon to block line of sight. So he's saying, flank my dragon, that's fine. I'm probably going to be fine with that. And then the Soul Reavers can't be seen, so that's smart.
Yeah, and the dragon has, I mean, it's the whole like you can sit it down from the flank, but unless you have something in front of it blocking its charge lanes, or it just goes the other way and keeps moving. Although that forest is going to cut down its sort of line of sight. But can we see 20 inches on that dragon right now?
3, 6, 9, 12,
it
15,
looks like it
18.
just can reach the
You can reach the battle shrine now.
Yeah, so it's in position to be in position. It's still not really threatening if the knights move forward. But if the knights stick where they are and he can get line of sight at all, then it's useful.
Even if he can still just hop around the back and be annoying, right?
Yeah, unless he gets sat down.
Yeah.
Well, even sat down, right? He can get 10 inches and actually park his leader point in that woods and be threatening for next turn.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He's in position to get in position.
Last time I got 10 inches in the wood was quite... Oh, no, sorry, we're talking about...
It was the 90s, right?
That's what I was doing when you nerds were playing Warhammer. This broadcast is sponsored by Absolute Raspberry.
So it looks like we have a couple ghouls in the center left. A couple ghouls have moved, I believe, into the shadow of the organ guns.
Yeah, they're going to get smashed.
It's a trading game. I don't love that those could just get shot up, but if he's trading it for positions on something else, that can be super useful. I just don't know. I mean, it's hard. Those organ guns, you have to move stuff through the middle.
So under Tom's
in
turn,
some way, shape, or form.
We teased the objectives for Tom. I think we should under Patrick. Sorry, for Patrick. We can tease what Tom gave for objectives here. So on the top side of the board, the objective markers are as follows. The one objective is worth 2 right in the center. The 2 and 3, which are also along that center line, are both worth 0, and then the 4 and 5s are ones sitting in the back.
He's probably spread them out, which is smart, isn't it? Because his army's really spread out.
It's mostly centered, right? They're all within kind of an 18-inch kind of bubble of each other, sitting in the middle, right?
4 and 5, these ones at the top. These are nothing. These are zeros,
Those
right?
are ones. No, it's 2 and 3s that are the 0.
Oh.
So that little bubble there is what he's fighting over in the center.
And that's what...
That makes total sense why the volley guns were set up the way they were.
It's the volley guns are there. The knights and honor guard and battle shrine are pointed right at it, and the dogs are sort of covering it from the other side. The dogs of war.
So Elliot Morrish says Pat's right to semi-ignore the organ guns. Their power to deny area is massive. So what he's done, he's thrown crap in front of them that he doesn't care about. Just say, fine, you can shoot me if you like. Shoot my crap, because then my actual good units are going to come in immediately, right?
Yeah, I totally get that. The question is like,
So
once they're in their range,
Yeah.
what's the thing he's gaining from that other than just throwing crap away? Because that crap can be useful somewhere else, possibly.
But he wants to get something into them, doesn't he? But he hasn't got. He doesn't seem like he's positioning to take out. I think he's just ignoring the organ guns by the look of it. Look where the werewolves are. They just don't give a shit, right?
He did with Morgoth. He did 6 wounds with that drain life and just picked up those guys right away. So,
Morgoth things.
Yeah, Morgoth did Morgoth.
Broken.
Okay.
Is John Fawkes dead? John, raise your hand if you're alive. No, he's dead. It's a shame. I'll miss him.
There you go.
Just as Matt Croucher mentioned, Steve and John on my screen at once. Be still my beating heart.
Hi, Croucher.
We lose John.
I love you, Croucher.
So you're stuck with just Steve, and then
So the Rev King didn't do any damage to the Aralas.
Yep.
Oh wow, that's.
Oh no. No, yeah, 0 damage. So he's screwed now. But luckily he's not gambled on that. He's not left too many flanks open for the Aralas to go into. Yep. So
he can have ghouls. But all the other units have sort of.
Whoa. Has Dan dropped his?
Dan.
Oh no, he's the one in charge of. No, it's just us.
Yeah, so bear with us for technical difficulties. If we had like a little Native American head to pop up in the middle, we would. But Dan will be back on, and we'll get the screen back up in a moment.
Sorry, I am actually going to have to leave you 1 second again because for some reason my screen is really big.
And now Steve's just run. And it's just me. So let's talk about Rorty a little. So I mentioned earlier the Halfling Trap. That's generally what I consider the thing a bunch of Rorty players fall into that makes the army not always as strong, which is they were either ex-Warhammer players who just brought their old Empire models out, or the people who picked up Rorty for the first time in Kings of War would fall in love with the Halflings and sort of build too much of their army around that for fun, which is great. That's hobby. But here, we have Tom, who has just ruthlessly come in and picked the good stuff, the most powerful stuff in the list. So
tokens, they just both declared and deployed zeros actually on the end of one. I guess they went back and did that because they had forgotten. So they both ended up picking zeros for each other. That's interesting.
So the Dogs of War have moved out of cover. That's pretty so. When they're in cover, they're basically invulnerable. Out of cover, they're just slightly invulnerable, right? Revenant Cavalry opposite them is the worst possible place for Rev Cav to be, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's very little that wants to be in front of Dogs of War. They are just a giant La Brea tar pits. There's like dead dinosaurs rotting away in the middle of them. Thousands of years of fossils and skeletons just sitting in the middle of that unit. It's a black hole. You go in, you never get out. They're awesome. I think they're a great unit, but I think they're perfectly on the power curve because they're slow and they're crazy expensive and you can only have one. Yeah. So I think it's really good sort of list design from the rules committee that you get them, but you only get one. So
Not
you're
like
never
Naiad Ensnarers when you can have 3 freaking hordes of Naiad Ensnarers just sitting across the board.
Yep.
Defense 3 though.
So what do you guys think of both these hordes moving up to be still in the woods, but actually not really presenting hindered charges?
They got to move. Pat is in a position where he can just bail on that side, leaving essentially nonsense. And like a death pack that would just sit there, zip around the side and go grab that thing he knows is an actual objective in the sort of backboard edge. And so he's got to push the hordes like this. I'm used to playing them worse as Kingdoms of Men. when they are deployed anywhere near a flank, they have to basically be moving all game to get in the action.
That's
And if your
interesting.
opponent ignores that side. So
Tom's charged a dragon with his horde of knights, right? He's probably, we've already talked about how he's probably going to delete that, right? How far are the werewolves away from that horde, Dan? 3, 6, 9, 12.
Looks like 20, so out of range.
Right, but when they rotate, they're going to have to rotate, or they're going to get flanked by soul reavers and reared by the other dragon, right? He's going to have a flank from a werewolves on that night horde. That's kind of a ballsy move.
Yeah, we're going to see how he can position them. What the other moves are here, if he has anything that can chaff up any part of that. What is the arcs on the winged Aralez that did not get sat down?
Can't see Soul Reaver.
Seeing very much now.
Yeah, so the Soul Reaver's out. Yeah, and you can't block those werewolves because they're nimble freak shows that run around everything.
Only crush one though, so. Is there any Bane Chant in the list?
No, they got strength on them, so
they got strength, and there's Bane Chant, I think, in the list somewhere. So.
Morgoth has it. Yes.
Then
right, he's too far away, right? But he's going to come and he's going to deal with the volley guns. That's the only thing for Morgoth to do that's of any use. In fact, I don't think he'll be able to fly 20 and in life.
I don't know if I agree with you there, Steve, because it depends on really what happens with that dragon. If the dragon does get picked up, yeah, sure, I do agree with you there. But it's a 20-inch mover, right? So it's got a lot of board it can take. Oh, I guess it is only up to about where those ghouls are.
He'll get within 12 to do a Bane Chant if he needs to, but I think he's better off taking out volley guns at this point. That's his. So what he's saying there is fine. You can kill my night horde, but I'm going to honor guard you the next time.
That night horde is hindered, right? It was parked up partially in the woods.
Yep. But it's still 15 hits and it's still crush 1 because of the strength. 8 wounds. That's not guaranteed.
Crush 1 thunder 1, right? Because it's hindered only reduces 1 thunder.
16 on 3s.
So 3s. So what? That's like
I can't count above 10.
11,
so this is
11 to 12.
I need Page Neo to come and do some maths for me.
Oh, John is back.
Jeremy Guevara's
I don't know how long I'm back for, but I'm back.
He named himself John. Perfect. Awesome.
And he says top of turn 2 over his face, which is even better. Just the glare of the forehead left. If the Aralez withdraws 1 inch, he says, Jeremy asks, can he see the Soul Reaver infantry? And the answer, I think so, yes. So if that winged Aralez pulls back 1 inch, I think he will be able to see the Soul Reaver infantry.
It's hard to say because the impassable is right there too, right?
Yeah,
so
you'll be able to draw the line of sight, no problem, I think.
Yeah, I should be able to.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, because he's taller than the cavalry guy too, right? So
right.
How high is the impassable terrain? Is it a 4 or 5 or 6?
I think they're playing like a 6, and then the woods I think were like a 9 to make them so they're even.
The impassable is also 9. It's you cannot see over it even if you're on a hill. And I'm a big fan of that for impassable, primarily because I hate the idea of a dragon or something
becoming even more powerful.
not having things that can't charge. It's a pain in the ass. So I'm a big fan of I know our models don't always reflect it because we have short wargamey buildings and giant impressive dragons, but I like when it's we have big impassable. So
I kind of like the idea of if a dragon's on a hill, I kind of feel it should be able to see over a house, because a house is a house and a dragon on a hill is on a hill and it's a dragon.
Yeah.
It's a toss-up, isn't it? Height 9 woods I'm fine with, but height 6 houses I'm also cool.
For me, it's purely a like gameplay thing. I think aesthetically, it just means we should all be using much bigger houses, or
big towers,
3-leveled wizard towers with like our impassable should just be enormous. So but as a TO, I also am scared to death of trying to provide all the tables. I also think we're at the top of turn 2, Dan. for the turn counter in the top right.
He's working on it.
So work out which ones he needs to press.
Press the buttons, Dan. Press all the buttons. Press the buttons. Not that one. That makes the game disappear. Stop it. Sorry, I'm not doing a good job of commentating here.
Stop panicking him. Come on, Steve. Calm down.
I'm trying to see what's happening in the game. Oh, there's a wizard. He's flying around.
Yep.
Oh no, he's disappeared. Oh no, he's in the woods.
No, he's not. He's moved down to the bottom there. He's looking at the volley guns. Oh, no, he's back.
I'm muted because there's people around me making noises. I'm going back muted, but I'm trying to find the bottom of
Mike Atkins is very
more important than the scroll on the bottom is the persistent turn counter on the top. So
yeah, I'm working on it.
cool.
I just figure out where it is.
He
Again,
wrote
Let's
very
just take
detailed
a-
instructions, guys. You know.
Let's ignore the game for another
Oh, he's
minute.
gone.
And
He's gone.
no, I'm still here. I hit the wrong buttons again.
Come on, Dad. Hold it together.
So we have some-
Not the right button. Sorry, Brendan.
Wait,
Carry
wait,
on.
wait.
so we have some spicy movement that already happened to sort of catch up, which
There
is
it
he Tom Robinson in what I guess is his normal form is shoved it forward and is making Pat do some hard choices by throwing in his Night Horde and then also throwing in the Honor Guard right after that in an attempt to sort of really push the pace of this on the right-hand side and sort of start to trap some of Pat's units on the left where the hordes can eventually maybe get there and affect the game from his own left side. He's now doing a whole bunch of, it looks like, tricky movement about
Can I fit through?
what
right?
will a dragon be able to do next turn.
Yeah.
a bit so that it rides along
Kind of get through that.
And this is
central
one of
line.
those
Okay.
the thing, cuts the
Yep.
shape.
So can I close off this gap? What can I do? What can I set up there to counter it? It's just another good example of sort of high level play where you're not only thinking about what your units are doing, but you're sort of like in billiards or snooker, you're looking at where the ball is going to be for the next shot. So he's already looking at, if I sit or don't sit down this dragon, where is it going to be threatening next turn and how can I plan for that?
So I think what's happened is this is quite a nice kind of way of playing, is that Tom has obviously asked Pat, do you agree that you can't rear charge my cavalry if I sit you down next turn? So he's just going through the different ways that he could to see whether he could or not. All right.
Mm.
And I think he probably,
And
what
that's
he's
a-
showing is that he can, because he can go hindered through that battle shrine. So now, okay, cool.
And that's a sort of hallmark I've seen of good play that I love about Kings of War, which is you talk through the tactics, you're not giving up your battle plan. Like, that's not the goal. You don't say, this is what I'm going to do to you next turn, but it's more about saying, I think I see something here. Can we talk through what the options are and agree what's possible? And then I can try and plan around that. Most of us don't want to get anyone with like a gotcha, like, oh, you're 2 millimeters in when you thought you were out. You just pre-agree with all that, and it makes the game so much more friendly, so much smoother, and really about the quality of play versus silly little measurements.
I agree.
And if you forget your glasses, then
You wouldn't want to forget your glasses. That's important.
Quick with the mute.
This is absolutely like my work Zoom conferences, where something random happens in the background.
Oh, my 3-year-old joins in with my work calls. It's got to the point where he's just like, can I talk to them? And I'm like that. Is it all right if my son comes and says hi? And they're like, yeah.
I had my eldest had a drumming lesson during a client call.
Amazing. That's
Hey,
your own
guys,
fault for letting
what's
them
that?
play drums.
Sound going.
So the organ guns are gonna
Oh, yeah. Right.
shoot what they can shoot.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, are we
basically.
paying- There's a game going on.
Start picking up
Damn it.
ghouls.
Here we go.
Okay, yeah.
Ooh,
So-
that's not.
That's not a good.
That's pretty decent, right? Those are
Five
only
off a 12 is
9/11,
pretty good.
right?
Yeah,
So
no,
that doesn't need a lot.
they should do 2.5 ish. So 3 isn't a big deal. They should
Just
hit with
that
4
roll
hits,
only
and
had-
they're wounding on.
That first roll is proper UB dice there. That's 11 4+s in a 12d6 roll. It's crazy.
Yeah, but it was the
But it
one,
needed
1, 2,
5.
3,
And
3.
it turned around and didn't really wound either.
Yeah.
So it looks like, did he just countercharge with the RLS? The
I guess so. Yeah.
It certainly seems like it. He didn't
Okay.
even touch him, so I'm guessing so.
I guess. Does he have the chance? I mean,
Hmm.
how many attacks on that RLS? 7.
7.
He's not going to pick him up.
No, dash 14 with a defense 5. That's almost regiment nerve on on that cav model. So I don't know if it wasn't possible and we're missing it, like backing up and charging the Soul Reavers.
But then that's throwing away the
Because
unit,
that-
right? Because the Soul Reavers will delete them next turn. You only want to do that if you want. If you think I've got enough play and I don't need my arrows. Maybe Tom's thinking I actually need that mobile combat piece.
Well, the other thing is, if it wasn't sat down, it could have
Oh,
just
no.
gone anywhere. Like it could have hopped behind the Soul Reavers, basically, or behind that house, or.
But then it
there's-
would have got
there's all
werewolves,
kinds of
right?
spots. No, the werewolves aren't nearly close enough if it's behind that house.
I think
Oh,
he
right, not the
wavered
house. If it jumps
both
over the
ghouls
map.
I'm just
I think
thinking there's.
there. Wavered both ghouls. Because those are both 4s. That makes 7. Oh no, there's only 7, right? So actually, both ghouls are fine. He did take a death pack on the right hand side though.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, Deathpack died.
What? The wizards with lightning bolt. Yeah,
You just got rid of it, yeah.
he's flying around with what's that like? Lightning bolt 12 or 9 on between the two wizards. That'll pick stuff up.
It's really interesting because what he's doing, he's sacrificing wizards, which is fine. I just wonder, the combination of the dragon, the Soul Reaver cavalry, and the Soul Reaver
Okay,
infantry
so-
is pretty threatening.
So dragon's grounded.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he can rear charge the horde next turn if it bounces off that dragon. That's what they've determined because that wizard on the horse is obviously not mighty, right? So he just needs to go.
Yeah, but
forward.
he dropped a. Isn't the peg in there?
He loses, doesn't he? Lose nimble now because he's not.
But he doesn't need
flying.
nimble. He just goes forward, turns once, and turns right, and comes into the
Oh
rear.
yeah. It's just walking along.
And then so we have Elliot playing fifth commentator for us. Is thinking that the RLS is staying where it is in order to block a Soul Reaver cavalry charge towards that center, either the Honor Guard or the Knights. So
The RLS is going to get it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, be sacrificing it. Yeah. Okay, so what's the Knight's going to do?
16 hits, just like they should. 11, that's about what I thought. So that makes it a really, like that's they're what, a dash 18? They
Ooh.
got him.
just roll
Oh.
good nerve.
Wow. Yeah.
When
That's
in
easy.
doubt,
This is
roll
how you
9
win.
and 11.
Just roll an 11. It's easy.
Life's easy when you roll 11.
He didn't need an 11 though, right? He
He needed the 9.
what did he need? Like a 7?
No, 9.
7. I think he did need a 7. Because they're what, dash 18 or dash 19?
Dash 18, right?
So
I
dash
have no
18
idea.
would be a 10. He had 11 wounds. No, that'd be a 7.
So 7 twice.
Yeah.
Slightly better than 50-50, but
So are the
you know,
werewolves now in range of them? Oh, hang on. He's still moving.
that's what he's checking.
3, 6, 9, 12, 15. They are not. They are not in range.
Of anything.
So yeah.
There you
So
go.
he spins this way. He is out of their range. He is facing the Soul Reavers.
I'm just saying,
And,
the year from Jeremy Duval says that was really lucky, actually. No shit.
I don't know if it's that lucky. Like 7 twice, yeah. It a little bit lucky, but I don't know really lucky. Because the 11
Well,
was basically was right on average, right?
if you watch Newbie Dice, he'll tell you that 7 twice is only a 56% chance of success.
7 once is 56. Yeah, so 7 twice would be probably more like 75% chance of.
It's about 2/3, about 60 odd, 60, 67, roughly.
I can't remember the numbers because numbers are difficult for me. So,
But the thing is, it's one of those where throwing them in there with the honor guard support, so even if they were sort of beat up, he had some counters, but he's come in now and taken a huge commanding position in the center of that board with his sort of rear covered by honor guard and onrushing dogs of war plus the organ gun sitting there to cover that area. It's one of those where maybe you take that risky, depends what kind of player you are, but you take that risky charge because the positive result for you is
looks like the
potentially battle swinging.
The Pegasus here is actually left it so there's not even enough room for that Soul Reaver Cav to fit through and touch the rear of that Duke on an Arrowless. It's really close, but it does look like it.
Gross.
We have someone coming in from the chat saying a 31% chance for.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, so that, I guess that is pretty at that point.
Am I crazy though? I thought rolling a 7 once was better than 56%, but I could be wrong because of the amount of ways to make it.
A 7 or less.
7 or more, isn't it?
Yeah.
Why nimble is awesome, Patrick says.
Yeah, so
this is I didn't realize that unit had nimble. That is crazy.
Is he giving them nimble? The Soul Reaver Cav?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh.
So this is you would see that. That's crazy.
This is the
he's looking
this is
at
the douche.
getting the man.
This is the douche canoe maneuver. Oh, look at him go.
Yes.
Look at him go.
He can see the battle shrine, so he is taking it.
Great.
Oh,
look at him go!
Just staying in
right
there.
to the flank.
So this is when we talked about very early on the beginning that Pat's playing a skirmish game while Tom's stuck playing a rank and flanks game. This is what we mean, like nimble Soul Reaver cavalry. It's just that ability. It is so hard to chaff them up.
Yeah. And it's in
that
range.
is so tight.
It's in range, so he can. Geez, wow. And that puts him in really strong position for next turn too.
So this is why Pat's a good player. He's up against it. He's got powerful units sat in the middle of his battle line. And in sort of a moment here, he is redefining what his battle line is by throwing Soul Reavers all the way around the outside and coming in. So, and then he's going to be facing down those same units from one side with
That's a good point.
And he's got a wild charge of 3 on that unit of ghouls, so they're going into the cannons.
Looking at the art from here and where his Soul Reaver were positioned,
it's definitely in the flank.
Definitely flank.
Yeah, and that's those wacky chariot base arcs where you have a much wider side flank than you do a front.
I say Soul Reaver cavalry with nimble are gross, but wow, that is an expensive unit now. That is a crazily expensive unit.
Yep.
That's it's like an Uber dragon though at that point.
And it's something that takes. So I sort of look at it as like you give Soul Reavers anything and they're strong. But when you give them nimble, it's sort of useless to a new player, but to a skilled player, it's a force multiplier. It really gives them that ability to pull off crazy stuff. So I like to say I don't give them nimble, not because it's a bad choice, but because I'm not good enough to give them nimble. Like I won't get the full use. It's like I need the fury item or something that gets me out of trouble I put myself into when nimble is the like
and
experience.
Jeremy said basically is that it's a staple thing for Patrick's lists. So he's got lots of practice with it.
This is really interesting now. So he's now going to get his werewolves up to the rear of the cavalry. The Soul Reaver infantry they're probably going to get deleted by those knights if they charge in, though. So that's something to think about. So he could theoretically just move them down the side and ignore the knight horde.
Mhm.
And then he's got the choice of being flanked by soul reavers or flanked by werewolves on the next turn, right?
It's potential, and that's the unwieldy thing. Like the knights have thrown themselves in the middle in this position, but now they are a giant footprint that's sort of getting surrounded and needs to figure out a way out of it. Which they might have if they can just sort of keep as much as they can in their front. Because they have really good nerve. They have great nerve. They can take a charge as long as it's to the front.
So he's going to flank the Dogs of War with the Rev Cav.
I don't think that was the position they were in, were they?
No. He's going to surge them into the flank with Morgoth.
Yep. Surge things. And this is where I am not coming down on either side of the Revenant Cav being overpowered debate. I think they're a great unit. But people will often sort of say when they're comparing them, like, oh, they're shambling, as if that's a disadvantage. When shambling can all kinds of times be a great advantage because it lets you pull off some really annoying flank moves.
Yeah, he's changed his mind on that. He's moved them back now. But realistically, what he could do if he was really smart, I don't know if that's really smart. I'm going to take that back immediately. But he could put he could put the death pack into the men at arms horde, wherever that horde is there. He could move Morgoth down to within 1 inch of the Dogs of War, and then put the Rev Cav into the flank with a surge, so that they don't get hindered on that surge, and they'd be flanking them, the Dogs of War, with a surge. If he wanted to do that, I'm just saying he could.
He would be able to hit Morgoth then, right?
He may decide to come back to that. He might have just decided that he wanted to think elsewhere on the board first before he came back to it.
He wouldn't be able to hit Morgoth if he got the death pack in the front of those men at arms. So
yeah, but if they back up 1 inch and then just pivot so that
around
they
that long base, yeah, we have to check. I don't know. I can't.
Basically, you back up 1 inch and you just pivot to touch Morgoth. If I'm imagining where he would be, which is kind of near that little gap between the two units.
But you can put him further up. Literally put him as far up as you like on the edge of the Dogs of War, and then he can't be touched. He just blocks would be the charge, right?
That would be. Also, we've been told that pointing at our screens is not super effective for illustrating a point.
It's here. It's
just there. It's just there.
There. Come on, guys.
Look, you just follow my mouse. It's really just there. That one there.
It's Matt's doing it, so I need to do it upside down because he's in Australia. It's
So-
here.
Can you guys talk about what the werewolves are trying to accomplish here? Or is he just trying to make it so he can't get blocked up from that mage?
Yeah.
I think he's giving himself options there for next turn. We've got to assume that the Soul Reaver Calf are going to destroy that war altar.
Yeah.
And that leaves them in the Honor Guard in quite a nasty position there.
Yep, he's trying to trap the Honor Guard and and be in position to trap the Knights.
Well, Knights are going to have a problem because if they power through the Soul Reaver infantry in the following turn, they can't do a lot. They're just going to spin round on the face directly south.
Mm-hmm. And that dragon should be freed up to kill, pivot, and be staring them down through that gap.
The dragon's going to try and take out some of the flyers. Because his next turn, he's going to jump on something else. Or is he going to go... He's not sure about Revenant Calf, though, still.
Who isn't?
It looks like he's backed them up a bit. I guess just more to continue to be a threat, to slow those infantry units down. I don't know.
Yeah, one of a couple things could happen. Morgoth might have something else it needs to do. He might not have seen the Morgoth unnimble or Morgoth unhindered charge version. which is always possible. But I think for him, he's very used to using his a combination of cavalry units and individuals to prevent nimble charges. So we're gonna think he sees it, and then see what Morgoth goes and does instead.
There we go.
So he's trying to save that death pack unit.
Yeah,
Well,
he
I-
wants them to get around.
Need to.
There's an objective in the back that is worth something.
to him, yes, that he knows that number
Yep.
2 is worth 1
Right,
point.
right.
Yep. So at the end of the game, this isn't kill, even though we all play it that way for the first 5 turns. That death pack is extremely cheap, and if all it does all game is just run around the side of his flank and keep units threatened and busy, and then sits on an objective, it 100% did a good job. So
yeah,
we'll see. And that foot guard right now is kind of just chilling.
Right. Oh, so the dragons just charge the scouts. He rather than doing something clever like take out a wizard, he just thought, I'm just going to knock those scouts off, right, and then move on.
Yep. Murder the scouts, spin around, and now you're a flying dragon in a flank.
The Rev King on dragon though, right? So it's what, 10 attacks on 4s?
He just did 8 hits and 6 wounds on those 4 wounds. Okay, their defense 5. Wow, that's a good phalanx unit.
It's a gross phalanx unit. It's broken.
Oh, the dogs of war. They have everything.
Yeah, they're awesome. Holy.
They have all the rules. And they
Well,
sped up a little. Were they movement 4 in the last edition?
I believe so, yeah. Yeah, they are speed 5 now. That's awesome.
Hmm.
Pricey unit, though. 280 points with the Indomitable Will. The nerve was nothing, so he's on to combat.
okay, that's dead.
Super dead. But he needs to shift sideways. Oh no, he's going to
No.
get shot.
Yeah, but that's okay too, though, right? It's not something that nothing else in his army is getting shot at the time, right? So,
I
and
guess so.
you know, he's probably only going to be able to be seen by one of them at the end. Oh no, he did sidestep. Look at that.
There you go. He's still getting shot.
Yeah, but only one. He might be able to hold that, right? Because they're only doing about three damage each.
Right. What's that 12 for? Oh, this is the okay on the honor guard.
Yeah.
They're fine.
He did a wound. He
We've
took
lost Brinton. We've lost the only person taking this seriously. Oh, it's all going to go downhill now. Oh no!
Let's all have a disco. Let's all have a
Hey! Oh dear. Someone just sent me a text message going, "Are you commentating pissed?" And I was like, "A little bit."
Oh, let's be fair. It's 8:30 on a Saturday night. Well, we
enough.
can't go out anywhere.
Yeah, exactly. Did they arm resolve honor guard?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so this is the Rev King. He did nothing again.
Okay, so this is the big one. Can Soul Reaver infantry do enough damage to at least worry the knights?
No.
Wow.
Was he
that's
four?
not
Oh, that's elite, right?
Yeah. I was like, wait a second. Did he only hit 4 times? What?
Whoa! That's UB dice. Look how many 2s are out there.
1 1 1 1 1 2 2 2 2 2 2 2. That's rubbish. Oh
That's
dear.
UB dice. There we go.
Oh, Britain's back.
Well, it was a great plan. But it's gone now. Oh, he's back.
I had to move Fox up in the ranking so that he wouldn't be hid by the UB dice.
That's fine.
Yeah, had to bump him up.
Internet celebrity that I am, yes.
You are kind of a big deal. I like to tell people about you a lot. Pop fact that John Fawkes invented multi-basing. True story.
True story.
I like to mention this as often as possible.
I've also played both Pat and Tom in games.
I've played neither of them, nor do I wish to. No offense, guys.
I lost to Pat in Lone Wolf. My first Lone Wolf tournament. I won the first 2 games, and the third game I ended up playing Pat. I was like, oh, great. Yeah, that's really fair. He was US Master at the time.
It's the third game smash that happens where you're like, I'm feeling good. I'm up against 2.
This is not good. Yeah. I was on the front row at Lone Wolf. That's not a good place to be.
Almost
level.
For me, the most depressing one though is the you lose your first game and you're like, okay, time for that bounce back win, and you run into someone who shouldn't have lost.
Where's the seal?
Who shouldn't have lost their first game, and like
All
so
right.
you run into like Dustin or Pat or someone, and you're like, how? Oh gosh, this is not going to be an easy game either.
The first ever tournament I went to for Kings of War, the first ever tournament, I won my first game against someone that I knew. Second match, Dan King. I drew. Third match, Nick Williams. It was just ridiculous. Talk about baptism of fire.
Yeah, my game against Tom was because normally Tom and I don't frequent the same area and tournaments for some bizarre reason. But it was a doubles tournament. I was doubled with Dan, and Dan was basically propped up on the table. It was the Beers of War event where we got special awards for drinking large amounts of alcohol, and
So
Dan and I were virtually unconscious, and Tom was stone cold sober, and we beat him, and he was very, very gutted.
So they just revealed tokens. So
Oh.
the both zeros on Tom's side of the board have both been revealed, and then he just revealed this one, which is worth 1 point.
What's interesting, the dragon only wavered those scouts, which is what I thought would happen. I'm not being funny. A dragon, a Rev King dragon in the front is rubbish.
That was a hashtag UB Dice 2 moment. 3 1s on the wound, right? So,
but
then he rolled a nice, an okay nerve roll to be able to get the waiver still. So
10 on 5s is, if 10 on 4s is just not good enough to take out anything really. So he's now stuck with one of his major characters just sitting chaffing at a rubbish piece of trap. It's not good.
Yeah, the Rev King on Flying Worm is the flying anvil.
Yeah.
It's amazing nerve, stupidly maneuverable, but when you actually want it to kill something, it doesn't, especially if the God of Fours are unkind to you. So now he's in
top of 3. So
is he doing what I think he's doing? Is the foot horde just gonna? Well, I like the idea that he's just decided that the foot guard is never going to get into the fight. He spins them around and just faces that objective and just says, like, whatever else happens, you're not getting this objective. Because if you try and chase the death pack, they're just going to get around you. But it would just be a funny move to say, okay, I'm committing these 200 plus points into stopping you from getting this objective.
Well, thinking about it, right? Tom now knows that all 3 of those objectives are points.
Yes, he does.
So actually, it's a pretty good use of that horde. No one's going to kill it. It's his.
Yeah.
If he backs up for it, yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, like, don't spin to the side, but literally just point at it, move it up, keep it in your sort of kill position, and hope there's a turn 7 because Pat went last, so theoretically he could run up to it. But yeah, just go back there and sit on it, I guess. We'll see.
So to speak.
That does give the Rev Cav room in the flank to sort of unmolested get around the side. So we'll see. But this is the old, again, like infantry horde problems, is that when you're facing things faster and more maneuverable than you suddenly feel like you are a tanker ship trying to keep up with anything. So you just have to have an objective and push towards it. And his might have just changed. So
taking out, I missed him taking out the battle shrine, which obviously he did.
Yep.
Those Soul River Cavalry are really gross because that is a massive problem for Tom right now.
Yeah, it is.
Werewolves on one side, Soul Reavers on the other is not where you want to be at any point in a game.
Hello. Has he looked at? Is he going to slam them with his chaff unit? Yeah.
So can they see they withdrew? Oh no, he's just backed them
No,
up.
they're wavered though, right? So
They're wavered. He's just backed them up and turned.
He's just making sure that the Revenant King has to keep punching them in the face because it's one of those you feel horrible, but like if you leave them there, they're effective again. So you have to finish them off, and you're just wasting time punching little dudes on horses.
So he's just confirming that he can't recharge the Soul Reaver infantry with the arrowless guy. But he's nimble, right? Still, no, he's lost fly, so he's not nimble, so he can't. Okay.
I don't see any wounds on him.
He has Iron Resolve,
Oh, right. He did a single wound.
I think.
Let's look back on that.
Because unhindered, the Rev Cab should sit him down. the Revenant King. But
Trying to see where it is here. No, that was more Goth. Did they even roll that combat out?
Yeah, they did. I saw it.
Because it's 3 attacks, right? Where? Oh, is it this one?
Yeah.
2 hits. 1 wound. Yeah, there it is, right there.
Yeah. So he Iron Resolved it off, and he sat down.
There's
Right.
the nerf check for it.
That's because the flying best boys have all the rules. They just got a ton of stuff.
You seem jealous of this list. Why don't you go into your talk about why people are wrong about this list being released?
Oh, I covered it when you were off the.
Oh God, no,
covered-
please, come on! I've not got enough vodka left in the bottle.
All right, that's
But
fine.
here's
I already said it.
here's-
I will rewatch
here's the
it.
short version. Here's the really short version. Metas
going.
matter.
Yeah.
Who your players are matter. And in the UK, Tom Robinson stomped all over for one tournament season with Rordia, so everyone knew that like this is a strong list. No one really did that in America, so people that weren't paying attention haven't seen them at the top tables, and therefore think they're not as strong as they could be. There is a lot of what I call list friction in Kings of War, as in people aren't always playing the best, most optimized thing all the time, because you play what you want to paint, you play the models you have. It takes us a long time to build armies. There's a whole bunch of reasons that people don't just switch to the most effective thing at the moment. And even if Rordia is a really strong army, there's just not a lot of those armies kicking around to see at the top table. So people perceive it as not being as strong, which is a wrong opinion, because it's a great army.
It's very good. My friend Dan bought his a kind of mixed Bretonian kind of models that he brought over with a Rordia army, and absolutely wiped me off the table. It was embarrassing. Dan's a good player, don't get me wrong, but the battle shrine is just gross. It's a gross piece.
great. And
the fact it's not here anymore is actually really important for this battle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because it's rallying 2 plus a lightning bolt platform really buffs up all of these units and gets them up to elite nerve, which they're not really paying for normally. And with Indomitable Will, that becomes fearless elite nerve.
Right. This is why Banner of the Griffin being removed from the game is such a huge change to the meta. Like ogres got substantially less powerful just through that one single item change, right?
Yep.
If you play Ratkin a lot, you know how powerful Rally is, but Ratkin start with a low nerve. The nerve of League of Rordia is mid to good. With Rally 2 in it, they become exceptional, and it's a very, very strong army.
And then Indomitable makes it fearless on the turn it matters, because
That's ridiculous.
Being fearless is a great rule. It's especially great when you can pay less for it and only use it when it matters. So
it's
I'm a Kingdoms of Men player, so yes, I am jealous of all these cool units that they have. But that's okay, because we just have more generic dudes than they do.
Yeah.
Which
My next army is Kingdoms of Men. So,
everyone's next army is Kingdoms of Men. It's great.
or possibly the Brotherhood one that isn't the Green Lady, because nobody plays it and I want to play it.
The brother mark.
Hipsterhood.
Yeah. Hipsterhood, yeah. The Demon Hunters.
You have to have
They're
no
good.
Very
fear.
me. That is very me.
They're just bad Varangur.
It is very
They're
good, Steve.
they're
Very
strong.
new.
They have
Todd
crushing-
Serpico's got some important information for you about Texas in the chat. It's got the word Texas in it, so I've just kind of filtered it out and assumed it's not important. So,
There we go. Early in second, someone in Texas did it first.
of course they did. Someone in Texas did it first.
And they were probably from Austin, let's be honest.
But the important thing is that Todd Serpico, lore master of the Kings of War scene, pops on and reminds us all what happened, which is good. That's why I love having the chat open, so they can tell us things we're wrong about.
I actually I was very mean to Todd Serpico during the early release of pre-third information, because I didn't like Ratkin changes, and then I was completely wrong, and he was very patient with me. So Todd Serpico to me is like, he's a bro.
He does know his barbecue.
So he is turning to face that objective and going for it, I guess.
Cover
He's
Fair
not
it.
worried about Death Pack.
The Death Pack's not going to kill them, and they can just
No,
kill
no.
them on the counter charge. So
Yeah, he
Yeah,
won't
go-
charge with the death pack. He might think he can cover their movement with a wide enough sort of arc. He might be trying that, but
is he taking the rear?
Looks like it's the rear, actually.
Yeah. Sure.
He's not done yet.
He's
How
not-
about we just let him spin where he's going to spin, and then we'll make judgment.
Do you know what's interesting? This is the longest I've ever
No.
seen Tom Robinson take for a movement phase.
It's a good-
Possibly in all the matches. I've only seen like 4 or 5 matches of Tom that's played, either live streamed or tournaments. But he does not take this long in movement. He just does it. This he's taking a long time in this one, which is very unusual for Tom. So he is being challenged for a change.
And that's that. When you're playing the game and the other person's really agonizing over what to do next, you feel a little good about yourself. You're like, yes, at least I put them in a position they have to think.
Right.
Yeah.
He's done that.
Exactly.
Or you've given them so many good options to destroy you that they're trying to decide which one to take, and you're really bad. But
Yeah.
usually,
So he-
hopefully, it's the first.
And on that night horde, that could spell trouble for that infantry unit.
Yeah, that's not good. That is not good. And it's a counter charge, right? So they're on the 3s.
Yeah, I mean that's going to blow them up.
If that Zoro infantry survives with anything other than double 1, I will drain this bottle of vodka. Shit, I wish I hadn't said that.
We don't know how much is in it.
Some.
Okay.
So
That was a really cool amount. It's okay. Yeah, I could see you finishing that and being okay.
Just like to say that I'm a liar, and I'm not proud.
Just do not try and keep up with the Pacific
Okay, here we go.
Northwest.
Here we go.
here we go.
Okay.
32
Spicy
D.
combat.
Ooh.
16. Okay,
Oh, twos.
that's 12 wounds.
Yeah. Oh, I think they're only
That's a
waiting.
low
And they're
nerve.
wavered.
Uh-oh.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my.
Start drinking, Steve.
I mentioned I was a... I'll be right back. That is bad. That is game.
That's
That is
game losing bad.
Definitely a turning point for sure. Because
No, but look at it. Tom has got. Look where he's put his wizards and his arrows. The Soul
Yeah.
Reaver cavalry cannot flank charge the cavalry.
no,
The
but-
werewolves can rear charge them, so he's gonna get werewolf, but then the werewolves are gonna get those whatever they're called,
On guard.
honor guard, right? So
Yeah.
Yeah, so
It's not
it looked
over.
like what Tom was trying to do is kill the Soul
That
Reavers,
sucks.
flip and face the werewolves
Yeah.
in the exact same position. So his flanks were sort of tightly covered, and he would just be taking a front charge. But let me do a quick bit of like. So that should have been 3s and 3s, right?
yeah, he wildly underrolled there.
He should have done 14 damage ish. Like in sorry, Nick Williams, I'm not saying average. I'm trying to be careful. There was
Just
a
say it,
range.
doesn't matter.
There's a range he should have done. 14 was in the middle of that range. What did he actually do? 12 or
Yeah.
12.
Not within that variance.
yeah, so he's within sort of the variance. It was just that low, that 4 put
That
him
really
right
nervous.
square. He needed one more to get into the break. So
It was a combination that he underperformed in the actual damage, but also massively rolled under.
So it's
Well,
but
not massive,
he
it's four,
he massively tanked a unit that he maybe shouldn't have earlier with those same night horde. So came
Oof.
back around.
So werewolves in the rear.
Oof.
Yeah,
Oof.
that's 20 odd damage.
But theoretically, though, his mobile shooting, he hasn't got much of it left. In fact, he's going to have none of it left by the end of this turn.
So Soul Reaver Cavalry just taking a pot shot into the. Is that the Winged Aralask?
No, it's a wizard. It's
Wizard.
his
Wisdom Peg. Okay, it's a.
Can that
Send
volley gun see the wounded Soul Reaver infantry from where it
It's
is?
moved. I think that one moved.
Looks like he might be able to.
I think after this turn, I mean, though. Yeah, so that's the Soul Reaver infantry aren't a worry. The werewolves are going to get honor guarded. That dragon is still faffing away at those scouts in the corner.
Yeah.
It's not
That's
looking good for Tom, I got to say. It's not looking good. Yeah. Oh, I'm wounded.
So that Soul Reaver is just going to keep getting stuff thrown. Like next turn, it gets a Aralaz thrown into it, and it sounds like Tom's just trying to buy himself time from that absolute chainsaw coming from his rear.
Ooh, I've seen that video. It's not good.
Yeah, don't turn safe search off and look up that.
I'll be right back.
Oh, wow, that was a big waiver for sure. He's probably not going to break that night unit though, eh?
No, I should do. I should break it.
24? Oh, I guess, yeah, it is only, what, 21, 23?
It's got 4 damage already.
Yeah.
Threes and fours from the werewolves in the back. You'd expect to do 20 odd damage there, so it should be double warning.
Okay, and so that means it's a front against the werewolves, barring a double ones. That's only doing what? So with 18 attacks, that's doing 12 hits, doing about 10 damage to the werewolves.
Yeah, you're in the it's possibility of taking out the werewolves in one shot. If he's assuming Tom's going to have some lightning bolt left, he's going to pop a lightning bolt surely into the heavily damaged unit.
Well, what Steve was talking about here is
shoot
it. You can actually shoot it right with cover, but it would certainly be able to shoot. Actually, probably not with cover. Actually, if the knights disappear.
Yeah.
With that volley gun there.
If the knights disappear and the honor guard do what they're supposed to do, we move forward into the werewolves. Yeah, they can have a clear shot.
Although it's quite possible that Morgoth tries to pick up that volley gun, knowing the threat, right?
Yeah.
It's forcing because there's not going to be a lot of lightning bolts left at the end of this turn. Just the mounted wizard with the 3 lightning bolt.
Well, that's only 1, really, when he gets to 1 damage, really, isn't it?
Yeah, get the 1 damage, but that's still odds aren't very good, right? That's hitting on 4s, wounding on 4s. It is possible that he did forget the Radiance of Life, Alex. I didn't really see him pull wounds off there. He did give the werewolves brew of strength. Yes.
Oh yeah, but the werewolves are going to just cream that unit there.
Yeah, because they're going to wound on 3s, right?
Yeah, it's 3s and 3s.
Yeah,
and that's, I mean, we all sort of know that the brew of strength, if it's not going somewhere, it lands on those werewolves. It changes what that unit can do, so significantly. If you have 1 werewolf or Lycan horde in your army, the brew of strength. Same with sort of Alohi hordes, a couple others Alohi hordes,
and the fallen in Varanga, same thing.
So Morgoth
really
okay, he's moving back again, but it does look like he's thinking about positioning Morgoth to hit that volley gun. Yep, that is certainly there. It does look like he's giving himself options with the Dogs of War again, too. And that's what he's looking like. He's measuring, too.
What did I miss?
Not a lot, just a little bit of jockeying. So he is actually draining the Dogs of War again.
That's interesting. I'd have thought he'd gone for the volley gun that could threaten the Soul Reavers, but
yeah,
that's because I'm bad at the game and patches are around.
Well, funnily enough, that's what Dan said. No, I agree with him. I'm surprised he hasn't gone for that.
I would have thought the volley gun to try and protect the Soul Reaver infantry would have been the play there. But he's a much better player than I am, for sure. So,
yeah, it could be that he thinks he needs to deal with these dogs, and if he can just sit there for 3 turns soul draining them and no one's going to stop him, then that can actually pick those up. And
Are the werewolves brew of strength, Dan?
Yes,
yes,
they are.
yes,
Yeah.
as they should be, always.
And the Soul Reaver Cav did Soul Reaver Cav things.
I give my werewolves a Pathfinder because I'm bad at the game.
Because you want to play herd.
I very much don't want to play herd. I haven't got any models.
They're just lichens with better armor now.
Soul Reaver Cavalry have made short work of the wizard.
Goodbye, wizard.
He died for the league.
Oh my lord. 27 hits.
Ouch.
Or 27 wounds. Holy cow.
27 wounds. That's the horde gone.
Yeah.
Tom is in a bad. This. I feel like Patrick Doran is like this. Revenge, right? For Texas.
So he's just trying to toe in that honor guard to the front.
Yeah.
And it looks like in a way that it's going to hit that barricade when it actually.
Right.
Right. The goal is to be in front and hindered.
Oh, so that's an over pivot then at that point.
He might not have been able to do it. Or there's another threat we're not.
The winged arrows? That's still the. I don't know, because that would have been front with the winged arrow.
What's that?
What the hell's that one?
That is his blank. That is just Texas, 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 Texas.
I love it. I think it's amazing.
That's how I imagine the dojo WhatsApp group is just like.
So I guess he's trying to protect the Soul Reaver infantry,
Right. He's trying to block the charge onto them.
but they're currently going to be a shooting target for this volley gun here.
No,
It can't be seen. Can't be seen. Look at the.
The honor guard are going to charge first. That's going to open that right up.
Yeah. Honor Guard will charge into werewolves.
Right.
But there might be some other tricky plays here, right?
Yeah.
Where he pops the Soul Reaver, takes the reform, is out of the arc of the werewolves, and
Okay, so the I didn't realize that the
I guess it's just go.
the mounted scouts died over the right side. Finally,
Right. Elliot's making some good points, which is it's not as bad a position you think. Tom's thinking about the objectives, right? So think about where did he put his objectives, right?
Yeah,
it's in
they were
that
those
trio,
three.
and
Yeah,
he's still got
that's
two huge hordes that can sit on the
Yep.
numbers. So it
Which
doesn't
is-
matter if he loses over on that side.
which is why he gets to those. Hopefully, there's not enough left to claim others, and that's part of the reason I think he's just soul draining and just putting wounds on the dogs of war, because at some point he thinks he might have to deal with them somewhere, and just sticking wounds on them that don't go away is useful on something that has defense 5, ensnare, phalanx, and high nerve.
Right. So now that
we know where that
point objective at the back has been
where
revealed.
that horde's going to go. The foot guard.
Yep, they're going to go and sit on a 2-point objective. It's a good use of their points now.
You don't get the ones, or you do get the ones in your half.
You get any ones,
Okay.
doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I think this is pretty decisive. Is can the honor guard one shot the werewolves?
Dun dun dun.
Let's
Well,
find
they
out.
can.
If they do,
can the volley,
I'll drink
can
this
the volley
bottle
gun
of-
take out the Soul Reaver infantry? Because it suddenly becomes that middle section there becomes very tight.
And that's where aggressively moving up these dogs of war, not sort of hugging the scenery and just pushing a little forward every round, is push those rev cap back, and they're not in a position to exploit the honor guard that's in the middle.
Yeah,
So
that Ref Cav is just sat there doing jack.
which they don't fully mind if they're keeping dogs of war occupied. Like, you can look at it both ways, that he's aggressively pushed forward the dogs and kept the rev cav out of the game, or the rev cav has threatened the dogs the whole game and kept them out of the game. It's sort of both sides.
But ultimately, the Ref Cav are going to take that token, and the Ref Cav are going to lose that token to the dogs.
Yeah,
If
I
one
mean,
trains them a couple more times, they actually can get into that danger area.
Yeah, the hope is that he can get a flank on him from Surge shenanigans after some drain life, and that he gets that one shot to kind of blow him up.
But he's got
last turn.
a death pack on a hill, and he's got Rev
Mhm.
Cav in the front hindered, right? And they're on 6 wounds, and they don't hit very hard.
No, the idea is he would maybe throw the death pack in and do the wounds, and then surge into the flank on another turn or something. There's a few options there. We'll see, but
That death pack is just out at the moment.
Yeah, so it's 6-inch charge, 6-inch move.
Have they got wild charge or anything like that? As ghouls have got wild charge, isn't it?
Skills wild charge.
Ghouls are gone.
No,
nope,
the death
there's one in the middle. Fighting organ guns.
Oh yeah, there he is.
Oh, chasing after one.
that dog's unit.
Well, that death pack in the middle is actually perfectly positioned to sit on that middle token, which we know has got points, right? So it's just going to sit there and say thanks very much for the points because organ guns aren't unit strength.
Yep.
I think we should spend some time talking about Rob Funuff's new beard. Did anyone see Rob Funuff's new beard?
No, I have
a new beard.
Oh wow! You should check out. So Dash 28, no, the other one, Countercharge. Countercharge did a live Facebook broadcast for the painting competition.
Okay.
Rob's grown a magnificent beard. It literally changes his entire face. The man
Is it Billy Capgun style?
no,
proper
it's
beard,
still
or-
quite short, but he looks amazing. I can't grow a beard. You may this useful visage. I can grow nothing. I don't like an effete Frenchman, like a swordsman. But Rob Funuff, manly man. Hell of a beard.
Mm.
Matt Croger is right. He says it's delicious. I'm sure he's talking about the beard because it is. Not that I want to eat Rob Funuff's beard. That sounds... What's wrong with you, Croger?
That's a little weird. That's a little weird, Steve.
Yeah.
Okay, so
he is.
What is going on? What is going on there with the flying beasties?
He's trying to block the ghouls off from hindered, I guess. Forcing them over the terrain.
yeah, so
That's all I can see.
the idea is in the
Oh,
future there could be a ghoul revenant cav death pack party all on those dogs of war, and
Right.
he is sort of maneuvering these organ guns, which are now just sort of like really immobile chaff, in order to at least maybe force a hinder charge, do some stuff to stop the ghouls. So
Is that the Inspiring Wizard?
It is. And Morgoth is yielding, right? He's not mighty, is he?
Nope.
He is not. So yeah, that opens up some interesting options.
Oh, hello.
where do they want to
Where's
go?
he go? Where's he going now?
Well, I'm sure that's mid pivot. There's no way he's leaving it like that.
Please flank me. Well, hindered flank. No. Okay. He's just turning.
There are some sort of interesting things with that other organ gun in the middle about what he decides to use it as. He's using the one on the left as sort of a charge blocking something.
No, he's using it to late game shoot those dogs of war off, right?
Well, so this is interesting, right? Because isn't it the ghouls have a pretty good chance of breaking that wizard, right? So, although they would be hindered, I guess they probably would just waver them, right?
Yeah, hindered ghouls don't break anything. Sorry, they're like, I love ghouls, but they're
They're
So
not nimble, are they?
Duke's just gone into the Soul Reaver cavalry to sacrifice himself to protect the honor guard.
Also,
The
Scout
next-
finally died on the right hand side as well.
Yeah,
Although
it's
the Soul Reaver Cav being nimble, is there a way that I guess the Aralez is tall enough that I guess that blocks him off.
It is a big,
Oh, no.
ugly line of sight blocker. That's what he's hoping.
He's double charging it to prevent it from being able to withdraw.
Smart.
Engaged in two flanks, slowing it down. He's just going to try and keep that cav in a little box as long as possible. We should be on the top of. Is this actually the top of 3 or is this 4?
Looks like the bottom of this should be the top of 4, right? So
No, they've got 3. Look at the they put turn tokens in. It's still the bottom of 3, right? Because Tom went
no,
first.
they're because they did expose 1, 2, 3 tokens, right? So it would definitely be the
top of 4. They've just not put their own turn counters down. So.
Yep.
Okay. So Polygon going into the Soul Reaver.
Infantry, as predicted.
Yep.
Yeah.
That puts them on 15. Double 1, twice, once, twice.
Oh.
There's a Rev King there, so twice. Roll it.
Well, he's got more shooting.
He's got other shooting.
More shooting to come.
No, the wizard double moved, right? I don't think he has any other shooting.
Maybe he's gone off for a wee. Oh, there we go.
There it is.
Well, yeah.
Once, twice, gone.
Yep.
Yeah, gone.
And that organ gun is actually sitting in a pretty strong little spot for any wounded units to pick up. If he can start doing wounds to that Soul Reaver cav, their nerve value is not actually that high. If he can stick some wounds on it, and those hold past the life leech, or he prevents some other charges.
Okay, this is the big one.
That's a classic way that you can think, oh, he's in a really terrible position, but actually once he's moved and does his, he's put things out, it looks much less perilous.
That's a waiver? It did. Oh,
yeah, wavered them.
Ouch.
See? Very, very good. Very, very good.
So what was our expected on that one? What are they, 18 on 3s?
They're 15, 17, right? Oh, you mean 18 attacks on 3s, 12 on 2s, so 10 wounds?
7, 8, 9, 10. So the Soul Reaver Cavalry are fine.
Yeah.
So Elliot Morris says, Elliot really should be on the... I don't know why Elliot isn't commentating on this, because he is far more expert than, frankly...
Because he
doesn't have broadband at the moment.
Oh,
because you took his
phone.
You took his spot.
I didn't take his spot. I took his broadband.
His broadband.
Anyway, the expert of King's War Hero, he says, Soul Reaver Cavalry are definitely not guaranteed to kill the Aralaz on the counter charge. It'd be big if they don't kill him. I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and that's the big thing about the waiver there is that it does actually mean those honor guard kind of have to keep honest and hit them again, right? So it's not nothing. Oh, look at him using Morgoth to make those ghouls not hindered.
Yep.
Excellent. Well played.
And that's another just small example. Anyone watching, individuals are really, really good for keeping yourself from being hindered. Eric Trowbridge used it really well at Masters, where he had sort of 6 individual characters, and a lot of what he did was just funnel his giant, massive orc hordes and regiments into the proper place by using them as guides. So it's another piece of strong play there. It's little stuff like that can swing things.
It's how when things look really, really quite bad for you, it's actually instructional to watch somebody turn it around to the point where using the threat of a unit like Dogs of War to push back a quite powerful unit, it opens up the battlefield in the way you would.
Here, that's what I thought he would do, is that he's going to back up and force these guys to take the hindered charge on the second charge here.
Right.
I don't think that makes his odds of living that much greater, but you got to do what you can, right?
So, do we know what that token value is? Just to the top of the werewolves.
The number 1 there? Oh, the one there, the 4.
Yeah,
it's worth 1 point. That 1 is worth 2 points. There in the
okay, yeah. Draw him away from that.
It looks like he's going to charge into the Arales here and actually try and make that more of a sure thing, which I think is a pretty solid. Oh, interesting. He's just looking at. He's not allowed to withdraw there, right? So it's interesting that he's even considering his options there. Yeah.
You can counter into the.
He certainly could, yeah, but he doesn't get
out.
to withdraw. Yeah, there we go. That's exactly what I thought he'd do there.
Bring the king in.
Yeah, he's got to make that more of a sure thing.
Yeah.
Now that released dragon, actually, it'll be interesting to see where that ends up going. Oh, he is going to go into the wizard instead. I guess he doesn't like if he did beat up the Arales there and break it, I don't think he likes the fact that the Rev King is going to be blocking off his overrun potentially there, because he would have to back up the full 3 to be able to get out of the way. Yeah, that's where I figured the dragon would go.
So the dragon finally, bottom of turn 4 is where it wanted to be, like turn 2, like sitting in the forest looking at the battlefield. But those scouts sitting it down and then not dying was strong for him. But now it is back in the game. And the interesting thing is, I know he backed up to take the waiver, to take the he backed up the werewolves to take a hindered charge from the honor guard, and if they want it, and he is now trying to find, I think, a way to move the Rev Cav in a position to potentially counter a move by the honor guard into the werewolves, as well as threatening the flank of the dogs and keeping them sort of honest. But with the position of the dragon, and these are very good players, so I'm not second guessing, but there was a chance there to stick some potentially significant damage onto that honor guard by just punching them in the face. That's what 12 hits on 3s. That's 8.
From the werewolves. They were wavered.
Never mind. Sorry, I'm an idiot. Getting them, angling them back, and doing that is the way to go.
There you go. So he's managed to get the Rev Cav to a place where they're not being threatened by. He's finally got out of the charge arc of the Dogs of War, which means they're back in the game, right?
Well, I think at that point he's trying to pincer those honor guard, right?
He is.
So that he can't just turn to face the dragon, otherwise he gets flanked by Revenant Cav, right?
Yeah, whichever way he sort of goes, he's taking a bad charge from one of those two mobile anvils. These are not his hammers left; those are a flying and a cavalry anvil. But if they're hitting from a flank or rear, they'll do some work. But if he can make a flank charge from the Revenant King and a front from the Cav, they could probably live that. If it's hindered on the flank from the King, because hitting on 5s, it's not great. It just depends. So it's. I'm just happy. This is both sides have done some really, really fun maneuvers here, and this is still a very tight game.
Oh, and then you get the overrun into the.
Has he got him? You got him.
You only went 1.
Oh, gutted. Wah, wah, wah. That sucks. I hate that. 1 inch overrun.
Yeah.
Oof. This is the King, right?
Yep.
3
The
wounds?
King. The King just stuck all his.
Yeah. Although he didn't break him at all. He didn't even waver that wizard, did he?
6. So 4 wounds and he rolled a 6. That's a 10. He should be dead, right? Oh, he's 11, 13?
10-12. He's 10-12. Should be wavered. And then the Soul Reaver Cav did
5.
6 wounds.
On 5s? Yeah, because they're only crushing 1 now, right?
Crushing 1, yeah.
5 wounds, rolled a 7, 13, they're fine. He's fine. The Arales is fine. That's that's nasty for Pat. Sorry, that keeping that Soul Reaver cavalry out of play is very painful for him.
But this is the old Soul Reaver problem with the life leech and etc., in which you start putting wounds on them and them fighting, just they all go away again and they're back down to 1.
So he does have that back objective now.
Yeah.
That 2-pointer. I'm wondering if Patrick is regretting that decision to put the 2-pointer there now.
Yeah, well. Michael Pierce has joined the chat. Hi, Michael.
There's such a fanboy.
I love Michael Piercy. He's amazing.
Steve Hildrew, the man of 1,000 wargaming crushes.
I completely empathize with it. I've got quite a few bromances myself.
Visibly Riley says, hi, Visibly Riley. Says, could even disengage and go for the Rev King now with the Aralaz.
He could.
Yep.
And that would actually
How
still
could he?
that would still block the Soul Reaver Cav are nimble. That would be letting that Soul Reaver Cav off the hook.
I don't think he could, because he's not nimble anymore because he's taken wounds.
That doesn't matter for foot nimble. That's flying nimble, right?
Winged Aralaz is flying nimble, right?
We're talking about the Soul Reavers.
Oh.
Soul Reavers are nimble. So if you are not blocking their sort of line of sight with a big fancy monster,
Right.
But he's considering just piecing out that Aralaz, because in an objective-based game, having a scoring flying unit at the end is damn useful.
Because down bottom right there is a token, right? And we know that's 1 point, or he knows that's at least 1 point.
Yeah. Well, he knows it's 1 point because there's only 2 1-pointers left that are not revealed.
Right. One of my least favorite things about this scenario is when you reach 2 and 5, you might as well just release all the tokens because you know what the last token is.
Yep. But that's okay too, though, right? That's part of the strategy as well. You know, if not knowing until the end of turn 6 would be pretty ugly, right? Having a mystery for a token that you only really can sit on and kind of hope that it's worth something would be crazy.
Yep. So Felix is breaking hearts. He's saying, I don't have any bromances. So anyone who thought they had a bromance with Felix, crushed.
I am absolutely devastated.
Oh, Mike Sedelmeyer's here as well. Another legend. Love Mike Sedelmeyer. Nearly US Master, Mike Sedelmeyer. You know what, Mike? It's first the worst, second the best, third the one with the hairy chest.
Okay, so what do we got left here? We're top of 5, bottom 2 turns, possibly a turn 7. So this is when you start.
Bets. Let's take bets.
This is when you start factoring in that variable turn length of Kings of War that I think keeps turn 5 and turn 6 far more interesting than in a fully fixed term game where you know exactly how many moves stuff has left. I'm a big fan of the turn 6 or turn 7. Even though it has bitten me many times, and a game has swung from win to loss in that turn 7. But I think it's great. It also lowers a little bit the power of going second in a objective based game, which swings it more towards going first is a very strong move. So what do we got? We got the Arlez didn't counter.
Did he just disengage? Oh no,
He's still thinking. He's been playing around with them quite a bit, so I'm pretty sure he's still thinking. He's trying to position his dogs of war so he can still shoot at that Revenant Cav unit with this volley gun.
Yep.
It's tight though. I don't think he's got this one for sure.
So the interesting thing is the volley gun that is faced to the side that
Yeah.
sort of moved over there to block charges and is still somewhat doing some of that. It's got shots now if it wants them. It's got a death pack on a hill. It's got
The ghoul right next to it too.
it's got the ghouls right in its arc, barely. So it's got some stuff it can actually do. I might be talking about the volley guns a lot, but I love volley guns. I'm a little sad they went down to 12, but the Rorty of volley guns at the reduced nerve, reduced defense, and reduced points are still a bargain. At 80 points, they're still a really, really strong unit. The dwarf ones are I'm a little more on the fence about, even though they can do terrible things to units. It's harder to make in a dwarf list. This list has them right where they need to be, 80 points each. So.
So what's he shooting? Oh, he's still moving. He said shooting, and then he carried on moving stuff. Oh no, perhaps moving stuff. What's going on?
Just cheating. It's fine. Don't worry about
Oh,
it.
somebody. Who shot that
now,
wizard?
now you remembered the Radiance of Life.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Ah, he's remembered Radiance of Life. Oh, fair enough. Who's got Radiance of Life?
The
The-
winged.
Dude.
The airless, the one with all the rules.
Shut up. That's broken.
So it's a baby dragon. So for anyone that doesn't know, the Duke on Winged Airless is a new giant list of stats. It's 230 points, Crush 2, Fly, Iron Resolve, Nimble, Radiance of Life, Thunderous Charge 1, and Very Inspiring. So it's a full paragraph of special rules there for them that it picks up. They're awesome.
So the volley gun shot.
And if you look at the art in the book on page 85, it is the best boy, as we've all agreed. It's a giant Labrador Retriever looking dog.
As per the Tom Robinson article, he's a good boy, right?
Yep, he's the best boy.
The Rev Cav took 2 wounds from what? The volley gun?
Yeah. The one that he's got the measuring stick on right now. So now he's firing the other one.
I assume at the same.
At the ghouls.
At the
I
ghouls.
must do.
Because he can't quite see the Revenant Cab with them, I don't think.
Right.
Yeah, and the Revenant Cav, I think, was like 23 inches away. It was just in that, like 24 is short, but because Tom has aggressively moved the volley guns forward when they had no good targets, he's now in a position to keep shooting good targets.
Yeah.
So this is interesting. I've always been the proponent because you can use the Indomitable Will at any time and to cancel a waiver. I don't know why there is any point to use it before you're actually wavered.
No.
So it looks like he's done and used it here, and I don't really know if I understand that.
No.
On which one? On
the Dogs of War, it looks like he's popped the Indomitable Will because he just said Indomitable Will and threw a marker down for it. So my guess is he's just made it fearless.
Werewolves have just gone.
what?
Werewolves have gone.
I figured that might happen.
Oh, right. So the okay, Honor Guard took them out. Well, that's fair enough. That's pretty
He
big.
tried not to.
Look how many units Pat's got left now. He suddenly looks very, very light.
Yep, and that's that sort of, he looked in a really good position, but there are still things Tom has to be very, very dangerous, and untouched Honor Guard, damaged but not really, really hurt.
He actually only ended up doing 3 wounds there, but then ended up popping a big nerve.
So the chat's put us right because there's far more. There's like a whole phalanx of Kings of War celebrities in this chat that's put us right around Indomitable Will. What they said is self-inspiring for the reroll. So when they get charged, it's for the reroll.
Oh, it does give them inspiring. Okay. That part is the part I missed.
You don't need to shout, boys. Calm down.
Yeah, they need to shout because we're not paying attention.
I would like to see Sam Sowden Garcia on one of these live chats. Sam's great. Sam's hilarious.
Yeah.
Sam, you need to come on one of these things.
I wanted to see him as a player as well.
I'll play Sam on a live battle. That'll be great. Sam's amazing.
We just need to get him a good opponent.
Hey, wow. That is fair. That is fair. Here's a pop fact. The person that I beat to win the ticket to America at Clash of Kings last year was Sam Sowden Garcia.
Nice.
So, in defense of Steve, they did actually let me on one of these live streams. So,
I remember that one. We finished quick. Ahead of schedule.
That was great, though. I really enjoyed that. It was fantastic.
Okay, so another good point brought up, but something that bears about the Steve Hildrew considers broken Duke on Winged Arlaz, which is it's 15-17 nerve, it's defense 5. It has Radiance of Life and Iron Resolve. So it's, if you're chipping away at it, if you're just punching it once or twice and it doesn't go away, it has a really, really stubborn ability to stick exactly at what it's sort of doing and be a pain. So both of those units are very good at sort of wound removal. The Soul Reavers, once they get into combat, are just second wounds off of them. And the Aralez is doing the same. So these two are just clawing at each other for a while here.
Right.
So we're on Pat's turn. So what's he going to do now with his red cab?
So it's bottom of 5. We need to change the marker at the top. There you go. Look at that.
Is the Rev Cav in range for a charge on the honor? Not, right?
it's not.
Yeah.
I checked that already.
Yeah, so are the Rev Cav in a position where they can do a cheeky flank charge?
Oh, totally.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Is Morgoth within range of Surge? Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Always.
Considering
Kane will, right?
still do it for sure.
We are not going to try and explain
Steve, you know what a pinch hitter
the
is?
pinch hitter rule to Steve right now, are we?
A pinch hitter is a batter used as a substitute for another batter. A pinch hitter only comes into the game when the batter whose turn he is taking is. What the hell does this even mean?
It's rounders,
like
mate.
Rounders,
It's
but
rounders.
bad?
Yeah, it's rounders.
Here's the thing. When you want to sub a player out, you can bring someone in at the time of hitting if they're better at that. It's weird baseball strategy. We'll get into it another time.
Okay. Is this like when John tag teams his daughter to roll his nerve dice because he's rubbish at nerve dice?
Yes,
It is
exactly.
absolutely that.
What that
It means it's basically bringing in a specialist at the thing you are bad at.
So yes, Steve, that's a perfect analogy.
So what are we left with for Pat here? He can
Not
try and drop the.
What's his dragon going to
I
do?
can go in anyways just to try and tie that unit up, or what?
Is that front? I can't see.
Dragon's a
It's
front,
going to be hitting on
hindered
5,
front.
isn't it? It's going to be hitting on 5s. It's going to be sat on the wall.
It's
No,
bad.
Use a wall of nerve, right? It's the idea isn't to try and break that unit of honor guard. It would be to try and tie it up, right?
Yep.
He's going for it.
If he goes in, it's to tank them and give the Rev Cav something to charge later.
What's that token at the top worth? Is it 2 or 1?
1.
1 dead center top. Yeah, 1. Yes, Matt, we had noticed.
Basically, you become more relaxed.
Steve's going horizontal at some point.
This chair is the hydraulics in it is broken, so it sinks lower and lower as I sit in it more. So there we go. I'm back in the game.
We were assuming that your own hydraulics were being affected by the vodka.
That is true. That is true. Wait until the shirt comes off, Felix. You don't want that, Felix. You don't want that. Trust me.
How much of that vodka's left?
Some. The thing is, my wife threatened to come up and see what we were doing a minute ago. She hasn't actually turned up, so I'm kind of a little bit. I've also run out of Sprite to mix it with, and it's a little bit tart on its own. So,
Is it flavored absolute or is it just the bog standard?
right, it's absolute raspberry.
Oh, Rasta. Oh, very nice.
Yeah, it is nice.
Yeah, it's good that stuff.
So I've been
Oh,
told in the chat, I think that there's also an Aegis of Alohi, but I don't think he actually has it on the Aralez this game. So
he is tanking that honor guard unit.
yep. So he's sending them in to do what Revenant Kings on Worms do best, which
Right.
is stand in the way of things with stupid amounts of nerve and hope you don't kill them.
So smart.
I have run into that absolutely too many times in games against folks whose names rhyme with "marry me, move all," and they are one of the things that have given me post-traumatic stress enough that when I made undead, I put 3 of them in my army.
Are you the adult? Are you the 8-year-old that Jeremy made cry? Is that?
No.
Are you that small?
I'm the
Has he
adult.
made adults cry as well?
I'm the adult that cries.
Oh.
So
Jeremy's a bad man, and we know that.
So he's tanking there. He's put the Rev Cav in a position to threaten either direction. And the Death Pack is just preventing turns. Is that what that's doing?
That one is that if they do charge the Death Pack, it pulls them off the objective for turn 6.
Yep.
Right. That's smart. That's really smart.
And then the ghouls have gone in and destroyed the
Polygon, yeah.
volley gun and are now positioning to go after the second volley gun and take that objective.
Like it. It's one of those lovely matches, isn't it, where you can see the strategies playing out. And
However, he's trying. I think he was trying to get him out of the volley gun's arc.
Yeah, I don't.
And still in a position that he could charge. But that may not be possible because that volley gun gets one more chance to take down those ghouls in a last ditch heroic moment. The valiant League of Rordia defenders loading that thing up, that machine gun up as fast as they can, turning it towards a bunch of shivering ghouls.
Back in a few minutes, guys.
Except that Morgoth did Morgoth things and just wavered it, right?
Yeah.
So how did the ghouls reposition and kill a volley gun? And did they forget to roll the nerve?
And they went back to do it.
Yeah.
Right. Which is fair, isn't it? Really? It happens.
2 hits even. Was that a counter charge? I thought he charged there, right? Wouldn't it have been hindered?
For who?
The
Revenant King.
No.
So 2 hits. He hit 2 6s, right? So it's 2 hits. Oh, but yeah, weird. Oh well, not for us to say.
Yeah.
He's okay anyway, so.
Didn't matter. Yeah.
So 4 7 wounds. That's not looking good.
Did he only
7, 8, 9, 10, 12. He's wavered.
Still there.
12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Yeah, so 16 rolled a 5. That's poor. So that that poor Weaver Cavalry is still sitting there looking at a dog.
Being nimble, right? When they disengage, they may be able to see part of that outer guard and just nimble their way over there, right? So
there's some possible stuff. The Rev Cav or the Rev King actually stuck 3 on them, even hindered.
Yeah.
Some good roll.
Okay, looks like top of 6. All right. So
I mean, maybe the surge can stop it, but did the positioning of the Rev Cav leave an opportunity to back up and just keep backing up with the honor guard? I guess it's turn 6, so we can't take that chance since they're not getting an objective or anything. But the ability to just get out of the way.
Yeah. Yeah, because he could just back him off and just not be in. Although he's still taking the dragon charge at that point again. Right?
Yeah, and there's still a surge charge potential. Okay, so we are top of 6 for Tom. Top of 6 means that glorious position of deciding whether the game is going to end at the end of this. So you have to position yourself for game end and for turn 7. So
But Tom's in solid spots at this point, right? Because we're looking at he's sitting on 3 at the moment, and Patrick isn't really sitting on anything. I know he's got potential for 3, but
so we know what he's banking right now. We know he is absolutely banking that bottom objective with the Horde of Foot Guard that have valiantly done their job, which was march to the woods, see a battle going on, decide they want no part of it, and then march back and protect the supplies.
Yeah.
So I love it.
And then these guys here are pretty much going to stay put too, right? There's no point.
Yeah, the ghouls are going to grab the one next to the volley gun.
Yeah.
Yep.
You almost sort of want the volley gun. I don't know what it can do, but just get away from that objective somehow. It can't really, but.
So now the interesting part here is if these Soul Reaver Cav beat up on the Duke with not so, like, it doesn't even need, looks like probably like what, probably about a 3-inch overrun.
3 overrun, yeah.
Yeah, we'll get them in on that too. And then things become really interesting and dicey, right? Depending on what he wants with the Rev Cav, because that Rev Cav unit can come and grab that top objective instead of actually even charging anything.
Yeah. And I think he moved him potentially out of arc with a
What the
withdrawal.
hell was that?
John and I are like, is that your missus, Dan?
What?
Is somebody whooping in the background?
Not
It's
over.
not me.
That was one of the guys on the feed.
Yeah, I don't know who that was.
It's not my end.
No, not my end.
It was definitely the person that just said, that was one of the guys on the feed. It was definitely her.
Oh, apparently.
Yeah.
It was not me.
It was definitely you. It was definitely you.
My voice doesn't even go that high.
Okay, so what are we looking at for Tom? What are the options? Because right now it's looking like they definitively owns 3, maybe.
And that's it.
And Pat has a very, very good chance at being on 3 himself, plus a 4th with that Rev Cav. So right now it looks like Tom needs to do something to swing this from a loss to a draw or win. And what are the options?
Do you use the wizard on the Pegasus to try and block off an overrun on that Soul Reaver Cav so they can't get to the 2?
That's one option.
It looks like he's moving that honor guard around, see if he can get within 3 inches of that token by going sideways. Oh, no,
And then-
sideways.
But the problem is the math. I don't think he lives with that, right? I think the Rev Cav getting the free flank charge.
Yeah, but they're going through they'll end up going very close to that wood. If you go sideways after combat.
No, because he only goes sideways 4, right?
3.5. They're move 7.
Yeah,
they're the heavy, the large cavalry move profile. A little slower than horses.
Yeah.
A lot faster than dwarves.
So he does take that charge, and that's interesting because he needs to sidestep pretty much the full 3 to be able to get back there, right? 1, 2, 3.
No,
he
just
only
he
needs
just needs
sidestep.
1.
Yeah, just needs
2. He needs a sidestep of
He
2.
needs a 2.
Yeah, might as well kill that death pack, get him out of the way, sidestep, and hope you're in. But even with that one, that's 1, 2, 3 that he's owning. He's gonna need probably more.
But I don't see how
He needs to stop that. If it ends in 6, he needs to stop that Soul Reaver from taking that 2-pointer in the middle. If that 2-pointer can stay contested or just not the Soul Reavers, he's feeling a lot better.
The wizard
At the same time, though, if
There you go. He's banking on a turn 7. That's what he's doing.
But I don't see how that helps him, though, right? Because even if he sits on 4, the best he can hope for is a draw then at that point, right?
Maybe he did not see the block play. It is possible that was just not what he wanted to go for.
Oh, he changed his mind.
I look like Harry Carey. What is Harry? I don't even know what Harry Carey is.
Assume it's someone very handsome.
Sure.
Ooh.
He means Drew Carey because I've been I've heard people do that before, but that's.
I'm gonna Google it again.
Obscure global references.
Oh,
Thank
he
God for
is
people.
handsome.
Oh wow!
Check out that bad boy.
That doesn't work on when you're not on the stream, Steve.
Sorry.
I'm looking now.
Great. So while you're all looking up Harry Carey, what he is actually, it looks like Tom's opting to go for that back corner placement.
It does. It's actually
What's
That's
super
a good
interesting.
shout.
that is spot on. Good one, John Green.
Guys.
What
Sorry, Brendan. Please continue.
Oh no, it's no problem. It's just what's interesting here is those are the objectives that Pat placed. Sort of thinking that with his millions of ghouls, death packs, flyers, etc., that if anyone was going to go for these back objectives, it was probably going to be him, or thinking that if he could pin some of Tom's stuff back in a corner, not going for it, maybe that would help him in the battle overall. But Pat's just not in a position to grab any of those, it looks like. So, it's an interesting how we
Is that side?
how you place objectives and how that battle plan changes throughout the game is sort of apparent here. He placed those probably with a plan in mind on how to get to them, and then that's gone out the window, and it's actually looking like Tom's the one aiming for those backfield objectives himself.
And it's right. He's absolutely playing for a turn 7 here. He's not even bothering to shift sideways for that 1-point token. He's just saying, if I get a turn 7, I could win. So.
Well, it's probably pretty smart because the Rev Cav could have just, if he did just sidestep, right? The Rev Cav and Morgoth just picks that unit up with the 6 wounds on it, right?
Quite possibly.
Presented.
Okay, here goes Pat.
So
Pat's in a really solid position here for bottom of 6.
Yeah, so we're on to Pat's turn, bottom of 6. He's once again sort of stuck saying, does this go to 7 or where am I at? The Revenant King just charged the back of the
But I don't think
wizard.
I don't think his turn changes too much, even if there's a turn 7. Most of the stuff is going to do the things it's going to do, regardless of what, might as well score now to win now.
Yep.
And then turn 7, I don't think things change much for him.
Yeah, I mean, he's wants to position himself in a place to capitalize at the end of turn 7 the best he can. So the Rev Cav have some choices on which direction they want to go. After sitting in sort of the same area of the board the whole game, dancing back and forth, it is possible this cavalry unit could actually fight something this game. I know it's amazing.
Just
Like
trying to far enough ahead that he blocks off that objective, but I don't think he's got enough movement to do so.
I just love that there's, I mean, he might surge in for a flank or something, but I'm just very much enjoying imagining the undead horse dressage they've been doing, dancing left, dancing right, going forward. So.
Oh my God, you've lost it. You've lost in a rib. Pick it up, whack it back on again.
They're beautiful magnificent creatures, undead horse dressaging around.
Yeah.
And they're continuing to do so. So it
Well-
looks like he is weighing up options.
Who to flank? All the choices.
Yeah, I was just trying to see. He moved too fast. I wanted to see how far away that was actually going to put him to surge in there. Because what's the surge on Morgoth? Is it surge 10?
Yeah.
It's whatever the right amount is to be filthy. That's
Oh,
Which is surge
10.
10, apparently. I just looked it up.
Surge 10. Yeah, it's
Okay.
surge 10.
It's a surge light list, isn't it? It's not a very heavy surgy list.
Well,
Nope.
he doesn't even have a lot of good targets for surge other than the Rev have, right? So,
and that's the thing is he's brought Morgoth in so he can surge when he needs it, but he is not paying a surge tax because Morgoth does a bunch of other great things.
Yeah.
So it's again, not to be fanboying too much. Both of these lists sort of have exactly what they want to do, exactly what they want to do, and there isn't a lot of sort of leftover fat. I think in this game it depends, but the foot guard felt like a change, and a second honor guard unit, which is what that trade out is, might have been more effective in this one, but you never know because the foot guard can do sort of amazing anvil stuff in other games. It's just
Okay, so if the Rev Cav coming in from the flank there, so that's 32 attacks on 5s. So 6-7 hits.
I don't love it.
No, that's not
I
going
don't-
to kill that unit. Unless it's got some seriously good.
is he looking at trying to use it to prevent that unit from reaching the objective? I don't know if it does that either.
Nope, there you go. It's going in.
He's trying it. He's going for it.
That's
a desperate maneuver.
Why?
Oh, no,
Why?
it's
Under 1, so it's wounding on 4s.
two,
Yeah, it just doesn't.
6. No, so it's what, 8?
He rolled well. Holy cow, 14 hits.
Holy. Well, just roll good.
So 6 wounds is still not enough. Like, he's got to roll double 6s basically to pick that unit up, right?
Let's throw the game away. Oh no, because it gets him the objective. That's right. He's hoping it ends now.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Oh, it does get him the objective for now, and then,
But
and yeah, he has to give up his flank again to be able to go and get the objective in the last turn, right?
no, he
No,
kills
no.
them and he tries to
Don't
kill
charge.
them and charge forward.
And he's
Like,
used the dollar UB dice, which is of
He
course what we always say.
because he just did 6 wounds on 10 attacks,
Nice.
hitting on 4s, right? So that was
Did he
amazing.
just didn't quite pop him?
No, the arrowless is gone,
He killed the arrow last.
Oh, I thought he was
and he
I
overran
was talking
4,
about
so he
the-
gets that objective.
the honor guard.
That's
He's
2,
moving faster than I can.
3, that's
1
3.
wound. Yeah, just the one. Oh, that was elite. Just 1 wound, right? So, oh, he did no wounds to the wizard.
Hooray, Tom says.
36.
Smart.
Go ghouls.
It's currently 3-2 to Patrick.
That's enough.
Yeah.
And
Now
that
the
goes
overrun.
2 just needs a 1. So Yeah.
4. That's nice.
Yeah.
Next,
There's something that
4-2.
brings joy to my heart to see a ghoul troop on the other side of the board sitting on an objective in enemy territory at the end of the game. It's like getting kinged or getting a pawn across the table in chess. It warms my cold undead heart to see it happen. It's just sitting there.
So it's 4-2
Um,
currently. So turn 7. That's it. It's done.
all right. Well, we'll get these guys back in here and I'll
Yeah,
get-
so Tom was playing for turn 7, and when you make that decision, if turn 7 doesn't come, it hurts because it's just
let's
not
talk
there anymore.
about turn 7 if it happened while we wait. This unit here, the Dogs of War, maybe moves to get into the objective, but I don't know if they can do that and still.
Counter charges.
Just counter.
It gets the objective.
Oh yeah, that's true.
It's not guaranteed to take them. 15 They don't have any crushing. There's no one there to bane chant them.
When you've got
They're
12
doing-
wounds, it's not going to die next turn, though. So,
They're doing.
And the unit strength's higher, so they'll take the token. So they did take that one.
and then the honor guard would just move left,
Yeah.
power left, and just hope they don't die. And then the wizard takes the other objective and he wins. So that's the turn 7 play.
That's
All
the
right.
hope. And then
Hey guys.
Howdy.
Remember.
So, thoughts?
Definitely a close game. Would have been pretty tight in 7. I think he would have been capturing here. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the idea. I capture there, I pop in
Mhm.
double on the honor guard and sidestep, and then obviously I bugger off down to the bottom, and that gives me 1, 2, 3 objectives plus 2, and that would be a fairly safe.
Yeah.
yeah, it looked like you made that decision during turn 6 to
Yeah.
hard pivot to play for turn 7.
Mhm.
And if it got there, you were in a much better position. It just didn't get to turn 7. So great game from both of you. It swung back and forth a lot. I'm sure we'd love to have some direct questions for you, but at first, like, what did you each think of how it went and how your battle plan changed throughout it?
I might as well start. I was quite happy. Well, no, I wasn't happy. So my first turn, I moved up, I got in position, and I shot his chaff, and then it didn't work.
Yeah.
And then my knights were in position, and the knights charged. They did the job. I think he'd misjudged the crushing on them, so he thought it was safe. And I was like, actually, with the Bane chant on top, I'm probably going to knock him. Which
So,
did. I mean, the dice
It's even
tried.
worse. It's even worse than that.
Yeah.
I forgot an even older rule. I thought they would lose all their TC on the hinders. So it's even
when
worse
we-
than forgetting the Bane chant.
So when we tried to do the math on this, and maybe we were wrong, but we figured with sort of averages happening, you would need a 7 twice.
He should have needed a 6 twice on average
Yeah, 6
with
twice.
Rev King.
Okay.
16,
Um,
14, 13.
I forgot about the keeping 1 point of TC, so I thought he would have needed 8 twice.
So, but even a 6 twice, throwing them into that was a little risky, but bought you a great advantage. So we liked seeing that happen.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it worked
Well, I
out for him really well, and
The term
put
I
me on
used
the back
was,
foot.
I wouldn't do this in a top table game, but fuck it, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
The actual reason I did it is because I used the measuring stick after I'd moved the damn thing. And then when I looked back, I went, for Christ's sake, I can't do all that.
Rewind.
That was the
you be crippled yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did
I
you?
did that.
I think
I can't be asked working that out. He's going in, screw it.
even if you'd gone in though, I think one of the critical things was the flank on the battle shrine, right? Was that something that you just missed, or?
Yeah, I thought I was out.
Well,
he
it
was
Turns out I wasn't.
barely within range of 16
Yeah.
inches. I mean,
And to be
it was
fair-
really close.
To be fair, the way we asked it, we're like, "Did you just miss that?" When all of us missed it, and then we saw the
Whoa! Ah,
nimble
to-
Soul Reavers do nimble Soul Reaver things, and we're like, "Oh, there we go."
I mean, to
So-
be even more fair, I didn't even see it until I was just playing around with what I could do. Like that's why nimble is such a great rule, great item.
Yeah.
So, what was the plan with putting the pointed objectives all the way back in the corners, Pat?
The way I figured it is every one of his units is expensive except for those scouts and the Pegasus that can score. So if I can get rid of those, then he wouldn't have many units to actually capture those. And like the honor guard or the foot guard, they're doing their job. They're capturing a mighty 2-point objective. I wasn't sure which one I'd be able to get, but I know I was less secure about capturing the center one, or this center one. So I knew that my 2-pointers wanted to be in one of the corners, and between my Death Pact, Ghouls, and Flyers, I figured I'd be able to get at least one of them over there. As the game progressed, it turned out I felt like I didn't need my flyer over here. I felt like I should have concentrated on these 3. And that allowed, so then this guy ended up redirecting towards the center. That way he wasn't just an objective capture. and that helped out because I mean he definitely needed to go block here because if there was a turn 7, the Soul Reavers would have eaten a charge from Honor Guard, which even hindered. It's not a fun day.
Well, I mean, it's my honor guard. Let's not get too crazy.
Tom,
So
is there anything you would have done differently, Tom, if you played it again?
I was happy with how I set out. My objectives were in the right place because the idea was, I mean, the volley guns in this kind of map with lots of little bits of terrain, I'm kind of limited in where the volley guns can go. So I was quite happy with that, and putting all 3 of them centrally with the objectives there, that's a great place for volley guns to be. And I knew as soon as I did that, he probably wasn't going to put any of his chaff there because with the amount of lightning bolt and volley guns I've got, well, so he's going to put his chaff there because of the amount of lightning and shooting I've got. He won't put his Soul Reavers behind them because they just get shot late game anyway. So I knew that was mostly going to go towards the flanks, which is why the Zeros were over there, because then he's wasted a lot of time. So I was happy with that. That was a good idea. I was happy with that bit. That was very well thought out. The Night Horde. Oh, the Night Horde. Man, that sucked.
That was a double whammy of the term with getting the Battle Shrine and the Night Horde not killing those Soul Reavers.
No, I mean the Battle Shrine. Yeah, that's my fault for not checking it more thoroughly. But I mean, I was expecting the Knights to do what they normally do in every single game, which is one shot stuff like that easily. And then
we expected it as well. Just a bad nerve roll. So.
Yeah, it happens, doesn't it? But a lot of the stuff was like I was just one turn behind picking off the chaff units I wanted to pick up. I had that turn when I shot both his goals with the volley guns and I didn't kill either of them. I didn't waver either of them.
Yeah.
Which meant the honor guard was stuck, which meant the werewolves could pull forward, which meant they could then go after the knights in the rear. And it all just cascaded from there. So I was kind of trying to pull it back after that. And I was fairly happy with it. I mean, if I'd had turn 7, it'd have been a safe win. He wouldn't have been able to really take anything off me.
If there's a turn 7, it would rely on me killing either the Honor Guard or the Dogs of War.
But Dogs of War in the front with the Revenant Cav 6s and 5s not going to happen. Realistically.
I mean, you forget how Morgoth had been rolling against those damn guys.
Yeah. Morgoth was amazing everywhere all the time.
So you swapped out. Go on. Sorry.
Okay.
Morgoth did something literally every turn. I mean, first turn he killed the scouts, then he did 4 wounds to Dogs of War, then helped pick up an organ gun. That 20-inch fly is ridiculous with essentially boots of levitation and drain life 9.
Yeah, I was saying I don't really have an answer to Morgoth. The only answer really is Hex, a couple of lightning bolts afterwards, and then probably a vampire with duelist, which means the best thing to fight undead is probably undead. I was really happy with the list. I thought it was a good matchup initially.
So you did swap out. You were only bringing 1 honor guard this time, and I think the swap was you swapped in the foot guard.
No, this has been a fairly standard list.
Okay.
I usually run 2 honor guard, but because I've got a horde of knights, it's super honor guard and essence in it.
Okay, so you swap in the horde of knights for the honor guard and some other changes. Interesting.
Yeah. No, I like the Night Horde. It's good.
I was like
Night Horde's scary.
The scouts held off the Revenant King on the right-hand flank for 3 turns.
Yeah,
That's ridiculous. That must have been incredibly annoying. But the fact is, Revenant Kings in the front just don't do anything. They just kind of just do this.
Yeah, it's that's about what I expected. The big thing was I knew I had to deal with them because I placed an objective there, and if I didn't deal with them, then those mounted scouts would have just screwed off and hung out there. Rev Kings, they're big. They have a lot of nerve, but they're only really good for about 3 damage, maybe 4 if you're lucky.
Yeah, flying anvils. So, any other thoughts? Go on.
I was definitely, when I first saw his list, I was like, oh, this is the exact list I hate facing with my 6 troops of chaff list. because he had a lot of like little shooting, and if his shooting had gone just a little bit better in the first 2 turns,
Oh,
I could have been looking.
Ones are amazing.
Yeah, I could have been looking at losing 6 out of my 14 drops, and him. Like I think I could have been able to pick up like 1 or 2 of the organ guns, but that's about it.
Yeah, my initial plan was to take out as many unit capturing units as possible, so that I was going to focus on Oblashaft because that's the important stuff, and I did an alright job of it in the end.
Yeah.
You know, I was then a later game when I can afford to start trading. You know, after because I'm a lot harder to kill than his units are, and I'm usually like the Nighthawk's picking up 1 or 2 units before it goes down. So that's a good trade on unit capturing units. The Honor Guard will as well usually outlast a vampire count. An undead unit. So that's what I was thinking. So I'll get rid of his chaff early on because I have the ability to do that, and then late game when we're trading units, I'll be up on trade, so I'll have more units to capture.
Yeah, I would say like I knew theoretically that the Duke was going to be tough to bring down, but seeing him in practice, I think he kept the Soul Reavers up for I think three rounds of combat before he finally died.
Well, Radiance and Iron Resolve. If he survives 2 rounds with that, he's on what 19, 21 nerve.
Yeah, it was the 3rd round that he finally died, so he survived 2 rounds. Which I thought he would die in the second.
Got that waiver off. That'd have been amazing.
So this make you guys 1-1 in terms of matches that you've played?
Yeah,
we are.
So Tom, when are you going to get over to the US to do the proper rematch?
Now, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've come there once. We played online. I think it's your turn to come over to the States.
Yeah. Oh, when I solve COVID-19, I'll be sure to
get it sorted. Get a move on. We've all been waiting, Robinson. Jesus, what have you been doing with your life?
Okay, well, thank you guys for letting us watch in, and
you're really good.
Thanks to everybody who is in the commenters and watchers for watching this. This has been Dash 28 Live. Thank you guys all.